Hello and welcome to not just another episode, but the final episode of Campaign 1. Woo! It's finally over!
You don't have to listen anymore.
It'll get deleted after tonight.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes!
Absolutely. This is
It was a fun
episode
3
43 of
years.
Chapter 2, which makes it episode 113 of the full campaign. Both books, both chapters, however we ended up organizing it. Thank you. It's
You're
been
welcome.
an amazing journey over the last 3.5 years. I have loved playing with these guys and with our other cast members and guest stars. It's been such an amazing journey. And we'll get into that a little bit more. But before we do, one last time, before we get started, we do have a few quick announcements to get through. I want to start with Aaron. I don't know why, but it feels right.
Feels safe. That's the safe option.
Crush it. Yes.
Oh, sup, posers. Just saying, we've been doing this a long time. Somewhere around 450 hours of playing the same campaign. So
a lot of campaign.
It's a lot. That's a lot.
Are you
of time.
complaining? Are you complaining?
Honestly, I don't know if I'd recommend it.
But we are very thankful that you've been around. We hope that you had a good time, and eventually we will be back. But before that, regular plugs, completely normal. We have a website, www.thepaperdungeon.com. We have a merch store. You should go check that out. We also have a Discord if you want to stay in contact with us, because we're going to be going on a bit of an extended break, getting things ready for season 2.
Mm-hmm.
The Discord is the best way to do it. It's a great place. It's a little slow right now, but especially heading towards book 2, I should say. We are going to be changing some things around structurally. There's a good chance that we will pick things up in the Discord as well, figuring things out. I have some things planned. So it's a really good place to be, and you should be there. It's filled with a bunch of cool people. And sometimes I get absolutely ragged on for disliking hiking. So, go check out our Discord. It's a great place.
Shout out to Hands. We love her.
Hands, the person I single-handedly decided to make a mod like last week.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Hands diddly.
Zero conversation. That's what we did.
Very nice. Is there anything else with your announcement there, Aaron?
I don't think so. I'm just going to let other people take it away.
I love it. Grant, what you got? What you got there, buddy?
Okay, the least safe option second. Thank you, everybody. If you've been listening on podcast, we sincerely appreciate it. At this time when we're recording, which is October 16th of 2023, we've had over 21,000 downloads on our podcast, which is actually pretty stellar. And that's like the unedited. So if you're watching this in the future or listening in YouTube, hi too. It's good to see you guys. There's less happening over there, but we love the YouTube viewers too. Thank you guys for watching and listening so much. We have a lot planned after this campaign that we're very excited for, and including some improvements to the first story. So maybe we can revisit that a bit too. But just thank you so much. And you don't have to give us money right now.
But it would be pretty cool if you did.
But you could. It just feels like, thank you so much. And you could give us money if you want with Amazon Prime by going to Twitch and subbing for free.
Please don't go.
Please.
It's
the final episode. It's so weird.
Bridge the gap between now and the second one. Please don't go.
Also, shout out to Anchor and Anki. Thank you. Oh, and Patreoners. Thank you, guys. You'll get a shout out at
Get
the
a
end.
new 2 terabyte hard drive for Drew. Please don't go.
Thank you very much, Grant. Drew, you have our next announcement.
Hey guys, just because Grant made me want to look it up and see if I can find some fun stats. Guys, before this stream started, we and hopefully maybe even by the end of this stream, we'll have reached 900 hours of stream. That's pretty crazy. So
That's
like
a lot of streams.
and half of that is this. Half of that
at this by now
is this campaign.
We still suck.
So thank you guys so much for being here. There's also some other stats that you could go through, but I'm not going to go through right now because we're here to enjoy this finale together.
Let me
And
tell you,
They
DJ,
say, oh, go for it, Aaron.
you don't get better at swimming while drowning.
Wow.
They say that you need 10,000 hours to become an expert in something, and so we're almost a tenth of the way there, guys.
Anyway, back
we're
to
professionals.
plugs. Guys, if you have enjoyed being on this crazy, obscure, ridiculous journey with us the past 3.5 years, feel free to check out some of the other content things that we have. Primarily on our YouTube page. We have pretty much everything that we've done is on our YouTube page at this point. One-shots, mini-series, main campaign, all
Tears
sorts
of
of
the
stuff.
Innocent.
Yes, specifically our tiers.
I'm not innocent.
Check it out, and check out also our Patreon. There's some extra content there as well. There'll be more content headed that direction, especially once the campaign,
Baby,
the new
you
campaign
have no
starts. But
idea.
even hopefully as soon as during the break, when all of us have a bit of extra time to work on some of the things we have backlogged that haven't ever made the light of day yet. Also check out like our places like Instagram, TikTok, YouTube Shorts. Maybe, who knows? Maybe you'll find something at Facebook now. Here at the end of all things.
No, don't go check out the Facebook.
You never know.
Get ready, because TikToks are going to be one of the first things that I'm working on during the Monday nights that we don't have streams.
Yeah, and
if I may step in here too.
Oh yeah,
Drew,
by all means, Grant.
Just
please,
all a little
please.
longer before we actually get into the meat of it, because we're all a little nervous.
I'll go check him out.
I am. Maybe you guys
cool
are.
as a cucumber.
I'm jazzed.
We're gonna take a little break before the campaign 2, and keep your eyes out. We have some neat little things that we're expecting, so keep your eyes out for potential things. I don't want to say them yet in
That's
case we
like the
don't do
most
them.
obscure,
But
like
okay.
hey, check this thing out. But like,
I know, just like keep your eyes out, because we're not disappearing. Is what
Yeah,
I'm
well,
saying.
and if
in
you
fact,
wanna
it will be
know-
better than ever.
If you want to know kind of what we're doing, Table Scraps on Thursdays is a very good way to keep in touch and kind of see what's all popping.
Yes.
yeah.
So, just to wrap all that up, moving
Oh my
forward,
gosh.
we're going to take a little bit of a break for ourselves where we're not working on TPD quite as much. It's probably going to be about 3 weeks or so. After that, we're going to be getting together. We're going to be figuring out kind of what our plan is for the next several months as we prepare for Campaign 2. We really want to start Campaign 2, which Aaron's going to be DMing. Very, very excited for that. We really want to start that on a high note. We want to keep the level of quality that we have. So we're going to have to outsource some projects,
In fact,
get some new
maybe
art done.
even a higher quality.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Higher quality. We're also thinking about bringing on some new cast members, so we'll see if we can do something like that. No promises or anything like that, but these are just some ideas that we have. And so it is going to take probably a good few months or so before we're launching Campaign 2. In the meanwhile, we do want to do a little side series, a little short something. That way we can keep you a little bit of content going for you guys. And so we'll keep you updated on what ends up being planned for that. It might just be like, maybe it's just one shot, or maybe it's a little mini series. We don't really know what exactly it's going to be. Again, that's all part of the plans that we're going to be making. But as we figure it out, we'll keep you guys in the loop. TikTok is going to be a good place to be checking things out, because that's where we'll be updating things along with the Discord. Definitely just made that so that Aaron has to do the TikToks now.
That was the plan anyway.
But yeah, that's kind of the general plan for now. So for the next 3 weeks, you can kind of expect us to be laying low for a little bit as we recover and I move again and all this type of
Like
stuff.
a loser.
I live a mobile life.
DJ's a
It's
nomad.
fun.
I'd love to
It's
see you do a
totally
little. I'd love to see you do a little moving right now.
Go to the next screen. Go to the next. Go to the
Hey Hans, welcome in.
Hey,
Greg.
hey.
Hi, everybody.
Anyway, with all that being said, let's go ahead and get started with tonight's episode 43, episode 113, the final episode of this campaign. Get started with it. Drew, roll the clip.
Welcome to Nico Muris, a world of lost legend and forgotten lore. As the world, still recovering from the decimation of the trial, approaches the turn of the century, ancient evil returns with a lust for darkness and ruin. Follow us into a planar conspiracy as powers beyond your imagination plot the downfall of all that is right and good. years have passed since our heroes fought a war to reclaim a fallen land. Now, they must once again take up arms and write a new story. A tale of glory, fear, and fortune as they make their way through the Paper Dungeon.
All right. In our previous episodes, our party has made their way back from the dead. They made their way back with a vengeance given to them by Lon and Tari, as the Mother Goddess basically sent them back with individual quests. Cather would join Vyzin and Kiamora to remove Rykorum, the King of the Dragons, and the left hand of Clovar. Abinthy would join up with Miriam Azima and Lorelei Audrian to remove Wisteria Vale, the right hand of Clovar. And Edward would join up with Leshka and Tarak to find the last final missing piece of the rod and explore the options that his new mode of creation would allow for him to have. They completed all these things. Then they revealed themselves back to the world, that they were alive and that they were coming for Clovar to prevent his evil from spreading. They made plans with all of their comrades. They decided that they were going to split up, as at this point Clovar had no longer cared if he could control the truths. He simply wished to release them and then figure it out after that. At least that's what it seemed like. You knew that there were potentially 4 places that he could go to release these truths, as there were 6 tombs, each one's correlated to one specific sacrifice, and you knew that he had at least 4 of the or only 4 of the sacrifices, not all 6, since you had Miriam Zima and Lorelei Audrian. He decided that most likely he would go with Zud's Thrym, the traitor sacrifice, who has been helping them this whole time, and whose temple would be in Wisteria Vale. And so you made your way to Wisteria Vale. You discovered that the city had been packed with people. Clovar had invited potential supporters of his ideologies and beliefs to come to Wisteria Vale and learn all about this, and really use that as a cover-up to prevent you from being able to get into the tomb quickly. You were able to make your way through the town, through the city, through some little shenanigans. It wouldn't be D&D if there weren't some shenanigans and trying to trick guards, right? It's a classic trope.
Oh yeah,
We succeeded.
Yeah,
Should have crouched in front of
Trying.
rocks, so then they go walk over there. Then
You
it
said
walks
trying
out.
to trick the guards.
Exactly.
We performed exactly how we wanted to. It was a perfect, flawless attempt.
Oscar worthy.
It was yes, exactly. It did lead to you guys ending up on top of the plateau that there is the temple to Ven and Attis. You discover that through this temple, you were able to make your way into the crypt, into the tomb for one of the 6 truths. You made your way down, where eventually you ended up in the catacombs, in the actual dungeon part of this. And even though you've been in these dungeons before and faced the obstacles that they have for you, you realize that this was going to be quite easy, as Zudstrom and Clovar had already made their way through the crypt, and you wouldn't need to worry about it. And so you speed run the dungeon, trying to get to the altar room, to the sacrifice room, and so you quickly did. You guys then did the classic, 4 heads popping out, just all lined up, trying to get a peek in, where you saw Zudstrom and Clovar. Zud's preparing the sacrifice. And when I say Zudstrom, you guys, it might either be Zudstrom or Adelar Crave. Either one of them, they're the same person, but they go by several different names. But you saw this person preparing the sacrifice, and then who you assumed to be Clovar, sitting, specifically kneeling in the center of the room, cloaked. You quickly made your entrance. Gave short speeches, tried to be heroic and all, but were cut off when this looming figure revealed himself to be a man named Lurelon, a large, fiendish-looking creature, kind of similar build to Clovar, where he's just kind of this massive hulking figure. And he was here to prevent you guys from making your way to Clovar, to buy time, basically, for Clovar. You were also locked into this room through an enchantment that Zeus placed, where you could not just teleport out and just leave, and so you had to face the two of them in order to properly get to Clovar. And you're like, all right, no problem, let's do it. You guys went in, guns blazing, only to quickly realize that any damage that was dealt to Lurelon was going to be immediately siphoned off to one of 6 innocent sacrifices that he had attached to himself. They were innocent. Don't listen to Aaron. They were innocent citizens that were just grabbed off the street.
We don't know that. They could have been bad people.
They could have been, but they weren't. You guys are terrible. Nonetheless. Yeah. Nonetheless, you quickly realize that if you were to just not murder these people, you had to figure out a way to sever the connection between these sacrifices and Lurelon, and you quickly realized that the necklace around his neck was his connection. So you had to remove that necklace and then destroy it to sever that connection, at which point you could actually damage Lurelon. You guys then engaged in an epic battle. Abinthy really came in clutch a couple times. I was trying to remember details of the battle. That was a long time ago.
I took off the necklace and then
they talked about Catherine, and then blew up the necklace.
I have a clarification question here, DM.
Okay.
So, like, all of the people died?
No. One of the person died.
Okay.
And then Edward attempted to wrestle an old man 5 times and failed 4 of them.
Yes.
That did happen.
Yeah. If
After
I recall
Lurelon
correctly,
was defeated, you guys needed to apprehend Adelar Crave to prevent him from finishing the ritual.
It was
So
sweaty.
Edward, clearly being the strapping young man that he is, went up to this decrepit old dude, and they had a good old fashioned little chin waggle.
What?
Yeah.
A good old fashioned chin
They
waggle.
looked at each other and they both started moving their arms like this.
Oh, man.
Have you never heard this before?
No, chin waggle?
Okay, we have gone over this. Grant doesn't know any phrases.
That's
Doesn't
not
matter
true.
how well known they
That's
are.
true. That is true.
Okay. So we were fighting this hulking figure that's like Clovar. One of the sacrifice died. Edward sucks at wrestling. Then what happened?
After that, you guys sacrificed Adelar and replaced him with Kiyomura, just to make sure that you just got him out of the way, got rid of him. He got his wish, which was to die. It's basically the whole reason why he did all this. And
just wanted to see it end.
he was just like, I'm just tired, man. I don't want to do this anymore.
Feel
Honestly,
that, brother.
see, this is gonna be the thing that we discover is that Zeus actually used to be the leader of the 6 sacrifices, and he's just like, I just don't. I'm just done,
Well, actually, if we did go into the lore, Zood at one time was the most passionate of the sacrifices. He was a zealot for Lanantari, and then over the millennia of her just disappearing, his passion for her turned into a hatred for her, which then led him into betraying everything. Blah blah.
He
blah.
went full Red Ranger. You never
Exactly.
want to go full Red Ranger.
Exactly. Once you replaced him with Kiyomura, you quickly realized, oh crap, we still have to fight Clovar. And it's been like 2 hours since we probably should have been fighting him. This could be bad. So you quickly got in contact with the rest of the teams, figured out that he was at Eridoa, the tiny uninhabited island that's so inhabited.
There's so many
There's
people.
so many
there.
inhabitants. Absolutely. You teleported there, made your way into the dungeon, past where you guys found the Dead King's Hoard, past what you believe to be the entrance to the Underdark, and to these ominous stone doors. Outside these doors, you saw several soldiers of the Order of the Chosen, several knights had been defeated. And as you opened the door and made your way in, you walked in on Clovar just finishing the ritual, sacrificing Marcus Steele.
Gasp.
Slit his throat, spilled his blood, said the sentence, and awokened the 6 truths known as fear. You guys then had to roll a d10 to see how many rounds it would be before fear
Let's
truly
not
woke
say
up.
we had to.
And
Grant had
yeah.
one job.
the best roller that you guys have rolled a 2
I rolled
2
so many
rounds.
2s and 3s. This
rounds.
entire combat.
until fear awoken. You guys then engaged with combat with Clovar. Clovar was a challenging foe. He quickly was able to overpower many of you guys with his ability to tame the chaos, basically to say, I don't like what you're doing, stop it, just kind of doesn't like it. So he paralyzed most of you. Abinthy decided that he was going to tank Clovar, so he went up, they had a good old chin waggle. Abinthy took it on the chin like a champ, just bam, bam.
You ain't never seen a wizard tank this hard.
It was kind of amazing, I'm not going to lie.
It was pretty cool.
But after many rounds,
4 to be exact.
After 4 rounds, yes, exactly. After 4 rounds combat, which took, to be fair, 3 hours to do that 4 rounds.
Yeah, it was crazy.
There were several amazing moments in the fight. Each person had their own highlights. The one that immediately comes to mind is Abinthy pouring all of his mana pool into one booming blade and doing nearly 400 damage to Clovar and blasting a hole in the side of the mountain, revealing that this dungeon, which is buried like a mile deep beneath the island, now you can see the sky. It was incredible.
Because
Cather
he rolled a
and
natural
Kiyomura
20.
had many amazing moments.
Edward had the clutchest one of them all.
Edward did a lot.
Edward
Thanks,
was
guys.
an amazing support to the party.
Took
as
3
he always
years.
is.
Pat myself back. I did my job, guys. It happened.
Hey,
You don't have to wait for the day anymore because it's behind us.
Now it's gone. Never again.
And we ended the episode with Cather and Kiyomura doing this combo move where Kiyomura went in, slashing and blazing, bringing in Cather, and Cather was actually able to come down slicing before then using his word over death. And not
So
just
hot.
over death itself, but Cather was able to go into the depths of Clovar's creation and basically remove him from existence. Not just killing him, but unraveling his soul. And we
Jared
left
moment.
From the cycle of rebirth.
And we left with Cather, Kiyomura, Abinthy, who's now unconscious. And
Out on my turn, baby.
we ended with you guys all breathing heavy as Clovar basically turned to ash and disappeared before you guys.
We have 2
Suddenly,
rounds.
the ground erupts in shaking and trembling as you watch the hollow pits of fear. If you guys remember, fear is this massive, gaunt, ghoulish creature where his eyes they don't really glow. It's just these infinite voided pits with just little glints of light in the back.
We're talking like colossal, right? Like his whole torso is
Yes.
the mountain kind of thing.
Yes, exactly. Like if there were, if this is a terrible example, but if you watched Eternals, the Titan at the base at the core of the planet, it's like
If
something
you
like that.
watched Eternals.
I wouldn't blame you if you did it.
You know,
Not gonna
here's the
lie.
sad
I
thing,
haven't
BJ.
seen
I
that.
think you're the only one who of the 4 of us who has.
You haven't
might
seen
be the
Eternals?
only
No,
one
No,
I thought
I
you saw Eternals.
I
Who
actually
has?
refuse to watch it.
It's pretty terrible. Not gonna lie.
Think
Yeah,
Founding
literally
Titan.
everybody I talked to about it said, yeah, no, this movie sucks. And I'm like, all right, great. I don't have to watch it then.
Yeah, it wasn't amazing. Nonetheless, you guys now have to deal with this. The ground is shaking around you. The whole temple is collapsing. You guys have stalactites falling all around you, pillars falling over. This creature, this Titan, this colossal being of the embodiment of fear has awoken and is about to rain terror upon the world. With that, what would you guys like to do?
So as Cather, still breathing heavy from overexerting himself, using all the power that he has to slay Clovar, kind of falls to one knee and says, Edward, how close are you with the rod?
I'm trying. How do you put this thing together?
Have you ever played Jenga before?
No, what is Jenga?
He's
trying to put the rod
the
together,
eye
yeah.
as Abinthy is on the ground. The regeneration spell that is cast on him has a bunch of threads tied around his heart,
Mhm.
and it will just
The regeneration, I forgot.
DM, as that happens, Cather, still with haste, is going to quickly, because they're very much running out of time here, is going to very quickly run over to the body of Marcus Steele and pick it up and make his way back to the rest of the party with the body.
Yeah.
I thought you were about to loot.
I like the fact that in my headcanon, the regenerate spell is just like a spectral defibrillator that's like on Abenthy's chest, and it's just like
it's his wounds are currently being stitched with thread, and just any part of his body that is not functioning is just being marionetted by the spell. So
Also,
his leg is backwards, and it's just like
Regenerate brings him back to 1 HP. So I picture like there's falling rocks, so like a rock will fall and hit him in the head and he'll fall over.
pass out
And then he'll just like and you're like and like another rock and he'll just fall unconscious.
Yeah, as Cather runs over to pick up Marcus, Kiyomura will walk over and give Abthy just like 70 HP.
I will Misty step up to the balcony where Edward is and say, Edward, no time to explain.
He is
Each
on
piece
his
of the
knees,
rod has a name.
rods scattered around him, and he is frantically grabbing them as they roll around and trying to fit them together. He doesn't know the order.
you show up and Edward goes
on the rod. He's just weeping.
Help me! If we don't do this,
I slap
we're going to
him.
die.
I just slap him across the face and say, "Get yourself together, man!
What's happening up there?
Look at the rod! Not now, Cather! I'm yelling."
Okay, this one has a 1 on it, but this one has a B.
Look at the names. Tell me what the names are. That's not a 1. That's not a B. That's a thorn. It's a very it's an archaic type of letter. It sounds like a T.
Okay. This one. A rock Varas, right? And this one's Ruat.
Yes. So I'm gonna go through. Apathy studied ancient language.
Yeah.
I would like to attempt to, now that I have all of the words there, decipher what the words are, and then theoretically put them into an order that makes sense. DJ frantically typing
is this
into
a
his notes
puzzle?
to figure out where it is.
Are we really doing Riddle Boys at the beginning of the
have it,
last
just a second.
episode?
Just saying.
Surely
think
DJ
this
planned for
through.
this, right? Because, it was expected that we'd have to put the rod together.
I think that DJ probably just went, they're just going to say, yeah, I put the rod together, and we're just going to call it good.
That's what I was planning.
Abenthy, you go through. Please make a history check for me, or some sort of intelligence check, or religion, history or religion.
Can I help, or is Edward helpless right now?
You can help.
Okay, I'll help.
Edward's
him.
always a little helpless.
I'll just be reading out the names, like somebody reads out a password when
Yeah.
somebody's like typing. in. Yeah.
That'll be a 25.
Okay, absolutely. As you go through, you're reading these. There are 7 pieces to this rod. Ruat, Coelum, Fiat, Justitia, Isi, Lex, and Rex. And as you go through and you study all these ancient languages and all this sort of stuff, you're like, this should be in that order. That's what it is. Which loosely translates to like, let heaven's justice crack down on ruin and behold the king of law, something like that. It was better when I came up with it 4 years ago, but it's been lost in translation.
Wait. Hold on. Say that again, but slower, so I can internalize your words.
What? The translation or the names?
Listen up, Drew. This is the names that are being translated.
So do you want the names or do you want the translation?
Wait, they're different?
Yes.
I want the translation of the names. I'm following.
Each rod is one word.
Yeah.
Right? And when you put the rod in order, it creates a sentence, and that sentence is the translation.
Yeah. Say the sentence again.
So the sentence loosely translates to let heaven's justice rain down on ruin and behold the king of law, basically, is a very, very loose translation. I had a phrase for it that I then translated to Latin, but then when you go back and you go from the Latin phrase to the English phrase, it doesn't make as much sense.
Oh, well, I like it.
Thank
Don't
you.
be hard. Don't be too down on yourself. That's
I'm not down on myself. This is something I came up with 4 years ago, put in a book, and then just pulled out just now and went, oh yeah. This is what it is.
If that's not the pinnacle of DMing long
Question.
form,
So
I don't know what it
did
is.
you use? Is this your own creation, or are you using what it originally was?
I don't know. Let's see.
Because originally it would be, though chaos reign, let justice be done. Behold, the law is king.
That's probably what it was.
That is sick. That's sick, actually.
See, I like
That's so sick.
I like what you did there. You know.
By the way, Aaron accidentally figured this out 2 years ago.
Aaron's a
That's
dick.
true. At the beginning of the campaign, right? You were like,
Yeah,
"Oh,
I
it's
was
the
like-
Rod of Seven
I'm like,
Parts."
Hey, DJ, is this the Rod of Seven Parts? And he's like, ah, dang it. Why do you know this?
Here's the thing: the Rod of Seven Parts is from first edition. I was like, this is so good. This is gonna be like the deepest little piece of D&D lore. Nobody's ever gonna know about it except for the guys that have been playing for 30 years. And Aaron.
I'm here to defy
So,
expectations. I look at Edward and I go, all right, in this order. Ruat,
Okay.
Corellum, Fiat,
Ruat,
Justitia,
slow down!
Este, Lex, Rex, go! We don't have time,
Okay.
no slowing down.
Edward attempts to put them in the order he said. He's a little frantic, and he
As
said them
you
pretty
do.
quickly.
It almost becomes there's like a flow through, there's a rhythm. As you get these pieces together, you realize that the rod itself wants to be reunited with its lost pieces, you know. And
Edward
eventually
stops and he listens.
you listen to the order that which Avanthy gives you. You put them in that order, and you find yourself with a rod that's about, in your hands, it's about 3 feet long. It's this long, beautiful piece of Vastrusium with intricate details carved into it, which then ends with this piece of Audronite that hangs, or that's embedded in the very end of it. And you now have the Rod of Seven Parts. When you connect Rex, the final piece to it, or Ruat, whichever way you decide to do, when you connect the final piece, you suddenly feel a surge of power through you. As you realize that
You have your
you
Thanos
realize
moment. Yeah.
that you now have control over the most powerful creations in the universe. And if it almost wasn't for that mode of creation, that just kind of tugs on your heart. It goes, hey man, you're a good guy, remember that. Hey, just so you know. You almost feel like you could have been corrupted by it.
Whoa.
But
I
you're
am
not.
prepared to strike down Edward in this.
Avanthy's like,
the
I will
rod-
now rule the cosmos.
Once the rod is put together and Edward feels this like influence, his composure will darken Apathy, and my neighbor's revving.
No, this is your soul.
You know what's so funny?
This is my soul. This is the
I didn't
influence
recognize
of
that
the
as a
rod.
motorcycle sound. You know in Minecraft when you're in the dungeons and it's like, you know?
yeah.
You know that
yeah.
sound? That's what I
You
thought,
thought
it
it
was.
was a Minecraft cave noise.
Exactly.
Edward looks at Abinthy and his eyes go darker and he looks angry and
They
like he has stark
They
determination.
just glow a faint purple.
I put my hand on my sword. I go,
Edward looks angry and he looks down at Cather. He looks back at Abinthy.
Everything good up
He
there,
takes a deep
boys?
breath,
We're out of
takes a deep
time.
breath, and he turns to face away from Abinthy. Abinthy, like, getting positioned to kill Edward. Edward holds out the rod towards Fear
Mhm.
and says, "Halt."
In the middle of it raising its arm, you can literally see like its elbow protruding through the floor as it's like busting this whole thing up. It just stops immediately. Fear and the rest of the Trues are much more similar to puppets on marionette wires rather than sentient creatures. And they are basically just vessels that will do whatever they're told to do.
Okay, that's amazing. Edward continues to feel an influence. And he can hear it too.
That Edward is falling to the dark side.
Edward just like turns around, shoulders hunched,
chosen one.
face cast down to Abinthy and looks at him like from a low gaze and just goes, "Okay, what do I do? What do I do now?
Edward, take some deep breaths. I'm going to need you to calm down.
I feel so angry."
Ooh, deep breaths. Remember, you can breathing exercise. Return to yoga.
Mentally, I will say to Abinthy and Edward, can you just tell them to go back to sleep?
I can do that. Sleep, you monster.
Just sleep and crushes us.
I never said
watch
to bully it.
as a single tear rolls down Fear's face as he goes back into the position, and slowly the eyes fade into nothing.
Question, Dan.
Edwards. Oh, okay.
I'm so sorry. Like, is like the
No,
room
go for
still
it,
like crumbling down around us, like we're about to get caved in on?
Yes, though Fear is no longer just destroying the building, the structural integrity of this whole thing is done for. It's completely gone. And so you're like, great, it moved. And then a boulder the size of Cather falls next to him, and you go, oh no!
As he's still holding Marcus. Okay, guys, it's time to go. Let's get out of here.
Yeah, I'll while they're running towards us, I'm gonna vortex warp both Kiamora and Cather up to where we are.
That's good.
And then because I don't know how you're getting up that 30-foot rise.
I was just gonna jump it.
Just
actually, I can Misty Step as a bonus action as well. But regardless,
yeah, and then so once they're all there, I'll tug through the weave, wrap wires around them, and just yank them up to where we are, and then I'll say, "All right, hands on me, arms and legs inside the vehicle while we're crossing through the plains. Plane shift." And I'll shift us to my wardrobe in Gambit's keep.
Nice. I love it.
Apathy.
You guys
Apathy,
go
there are
from
coats everywhere.
this building
Apathy, where are we?
falling all around you, and the stench of like death and decay and all this horrible stuff, to all of a sudden just in this really nice, kind of spacious room. It's got a little couch over in the corner, plenty of space. Yeah, it's not, when you say wardrobe, it's not a wardrobe, it's a department store.
Yeah.
I like to imagine somehow Cather is still just in the middle of like a bunch of hanging racks of clothes.
Look, there's a lot of clothes in here, but they're all very neatly arranged. But I do purposely put us so that Cather is like just in a pile of coats.
Apathy, is this the entrance to this fabled land of Marnia?
It's called the coat dimension. Just stay calm and you'll be okay.
Apathy, I can't see anything.
They get upset with loud noises. Hush.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
And I'll go, hey guys, the door's over there. If you want to go out, we should take it real quiet.
Are there people around us, or
No.
is it just,
This is my own personal wardrobe.
There's
Aaron,
workers in the department store.
Why did I say Aaron? Edward, since they went through, he's still holding the rod. At first, you saw this kind of crazed, unexplainable emotions happening in Edward, and now that you notice Edward, he's now standing there, composed, no longer shaking, with this like even-keeled, flat-lined anger in his eyes, like a smolder, a burn. And he's looking at the rod in his hand, and he just looks up to you and Cather and says, I see now why Lanantari did what she did. This world, how could it deserve to stay around as it is?
All right,
So much evil, so much pain.
We've got to get this rod out of your hands, friend.
Amulu, can any of us touch it, or is that...
I don't think any of us can touch it, because I think we'll be worse off than Edward.
I definitely should not touch it.
Here, let's just leave the coat closet for now.
There's a reason Lanantari chose me. It's because, although the world might deserve to be destroyed, it's worth more than that. The potential, it outweighs what it is. I see more clearly. There's anger. What?
He said, I made it stupid.
Oh
I said,
my
he said,
gosh, you
I
made
can
a
see
song
clearly. And I
reference?
said that the rain is gone.
I see clearly now that the reign of Clovar is gone.
That was good.
And I will refuse, although every fiber of my being wants to condemn the world for what it is. I will refuse, because I have hope. Hope for a greater future, a brighter world. And Edward's face softens, and tears start falling down his face. Because amidst the chaos there is beauty. And then Edward will calmly set the rod down and step back, not knowing what to do with himself. He stands there.
It's at this moment that you hear on the
Yeah, I was going to say
the
we need to pull
sending
up the
stones.
radio. Yeah.
Yeah. There's like a Bravo 6, come in, Bravo 6.
I think we're Bravo 6. There's only 3 of us.
I thought we were Alpha 1.
4, including Kiyomura. He's more of a half. 3.5.
Alpha 1 then. Ruin is out. We're please help.
Ruin is out. What? Yeah, that was your one job.
Okay,
God dang it.
Ruin's out.
Okay, Edward, calm. Take the rod. We're gonna take the Dead King's horde. We're gonna fly out. Bravo 9. Where are you at? Where's Ruin at? Where are you located right now?
See, here's the thing. I don't remember all of the places that I told you all the temples were.
Just make something up.
We're near the Temple of Ruin. And we go,
Exactly.
"Oh, of course,
We're
it's
at this
Temple of
location.
Ruin."
They give you the coordinates.
Okay, great.
Yeah, we will.
The coordinates like in
Probably
Minecraft.
just plane shift
Or-
around.
I was
know,
gonna say we
the
could just
real life.
plane shift there, right?
Yeah. I say, all right, we're just going to take a quick pit stop at all the truth there. If any of them got out, we're just gonna stop by there and just do
by
our
the way,
best.
while that happens, Cather is gonna pull out his sending stone again and open it to all channels and say, all channels come in, please. Report in. Clovar has been defeated and the rod has been assembled. I repeat, Clovar has been defeated and the rod has been assembled.
Yeah,
Insert classic radio cheering.
yeah, and
I have kids.
Yeah, that's basically
Yeah.
what it sounds like.
Avanthy will plane shift us to as many of the truths that have been awakened as possible. At some point in time, while Edward is subduing a truth, he will patch himself into the orb network that
Mhm.
Clovar set up again, and just go, "Attention, everyone! Clovar has been defeated. Fate's Gambit stands victorious. Lay down your arms, enemies of ours, and you shall be spared for the future. But if you continue to fight, you shall be eliminated."
That's good. We like that.
Thankfully, there is not a lot of work needs to be done with the truths, as only 2 are released: Fear and Ruin. Marcus Steele and Okaro Okaso were the 2 sacrifices that were able to be actually sacrificed. The rest of the other sacrifices, Miriam Azima, Lorelei, Audrion, Oscorus, whatever his last name is.
Laureline.
Yes, Laureline, and now Kiyomura are all
Poor
still
guy.
alive.
He was the one who wanted to die the most.
No, not Oscorus. Oscorus wasn't the one that wanted to lead the most. Who am I thinking of?
Wasn't Oscorus the best friend of Clovar?
Wait for it.
No, he was an Elon Ryan.
Oscorus Laureline. Yeah, he's the druid.
Oh, well, okay, that's good.
Okaro
We like
Okaso
him.
was the best friend of,
And he's one of the people who died.
Yeah, he was tired anyway.
yeah. Unfortunately, Marcus Steele had to die because he's the one that probably didn't need to do it the most. But Okaro Okaso was also kind of a similar attitude of Zeus Thrim, except instead of being like, I'm going to actively pursue my death, it was like, I'll just go be a gladiator because I can't actually die, but so I'm still doing my duty, but at least I can pretend that I'm dying.
While all this is happening and Abinthy is helping transport the group around to subdue the 2 truths that did get released, Cather is actually going to try and cast raise dead on Marcus.
Okay.
Interesting.
Just because I'm curious to see what would happen. So Cather lays down the body very gently, probably in the middle of a field, as like Edward's like, "Back, you fiend!" and Cather just pulls out a knife and carves the ritual symbols for the ritual into just the grass and dirt around them.
Into Marcus Steele.
Into Marcus
on his
Steele,
body.
that's right.
Just scarification.
No, but carves it into the ground around them before taking out a diamond and holding it close to his holy symbol and crushing it, and then spreading the dust over the body and activating the ritual.
You activate the ritual,
Uh-huh.
but quickly realize that there are two things. First and foremost, you're not sure if the soul, even if it wanted to, could return. But second of all, the soul is unwilling, so it won't return either way.
Yeah. That's totally fine. I just that was the thing that I was most curious about, was whether or not he would actually be willing to come back at all. That was the thing that I was most curious about. So yeah, so after Cather activates the ritual and kind of gets that notion that it's unclear whether or not it would work at all, but a clear indication from Marcus that he wishes to stay in the realm beyond. He kind of bows his head and says softly, "Thank you for your honorable sacrifice, Marcus. I will make sure that your remains are properly taken care of."
Well, we do it, right? We did it. We did it.
Well,
Is everything else settled?
I will say that as they are fighting, what, DJ?
It was Kiyomura asking if there was anything else that they needed to do.
Right.
Oh, well, I might back up a tad bit, but I'll say that as like Edward is as they're in the chaos of it all, right? We're transporting, people are going crazy. We're putting back these terror monsters that are the truths. I'll say that I think Abinthy, you, I imagine, watch Edward,
I'm keeping
or
a
at
close
least,
eye.
yeah, I figured. And what you see is Edward still has that fierce anger, but he also simultaneously seems as if he has a deep sorrow. So his brow is furrowed and he's clenching through tears as it seems the closest emotion you can pin it as is grief. Is just utmost the deepest pain that somebody could have, loss and grief. And every now and then you'll see Edward look at a child or look at the mountain, the nature, or the sky, and his face will soften as if he's remembering, and he'll turn back to the truth as if he's focused again. And that cycle repeats over and over, and it looks exhausting. And Edward is in this state for the entirety of the fight against the first and the second truth, until both of them are settled back in their place, until Edward finally gives up the rod and sits on the ground.
Right. So now I suppose we have to make a decision, though, what to do with at least these two truths.
And the rod. And
Yes, and the rod as well, of course. I mean, if we feel that it is the best thing, then we can, if people are willing to become new sacrifices, I'm sure that is an option. Otherwise, at least at one point, we had talked about testing to see if one truth could possibly kill another. And if we got the timing right, we could maybe even manage to get them to both end each other at the same time, and the world has two less truths in them.
Well, to my knowledge, in order for truth to die, it must be awoken. Now, the two that we have already awake,
Right.
I would be fine with us attempting some form of stratagem with them to have them defeat each other at the same time. I do ask that before we proceed with the remaining 4, give me no more than a week, no less than 2 days. And there's something I would like to try. Before we just go stabbing people willy-nilly.
Right. Well, I definitely don't think we should just go stabbing people willy-nilly.
I don't know, it could be fun.
I thought you said you were turning over a new leaf.
Look, but that does mean that I have to get rid of my old hobbies.
And stabbing people willy-nilly is one of your hobbies.
Were you not watching against Clovar? I'm really good at it.
That actually, I guess while we have a second, that was quite remarkable. Abinthy,
Have
Edward.
you stabbed
like,
a hole
what a
in a
shot,
mountain
Abby.
before?
Like
Because I haven't. That was new. I didn't see that one coming.
the skill and prowess the two of you showed in that encounter was amazing.
The two of us, I think that we all did pretty darn well. I mean, I would have liked to avoid unconsciousness slightly more. So that could be worked on in the future.
But
Next time,
that whole paralysis thing that he did, that really bit us in the butt.
yeah,
that
next
hurt
time
a lot.
I'd rather not be the one in the front. Actually, let's just not have a next time.
Yeah.
Let's
Yeah,
just,
that's what I
let's
was going
just
to
say
say.
Like a good idea.
that's not a thing we do again. Because I've felt the feeling of multiple of my organs failing a lot. This was a record. And let me tell you, I'm not a fan. So thank you for bringing. Also, Edward, thank you. You did incredible work. Anything that I owed you that you owed me up until this point, debts are paid. I know I've saved your life a lot, but it's never been like 3 or 4 times in like a 30-second period.
I appreciate that.
So you and I are at least on each. The night is black as a coffee.
All right,
We're back, by the way.
back.
Drew, you gotta tell us.
Well, no, we just got it back.
Oh, okay. Hey, this wouldn't be
I
the
was
last
reading
episode of the
about-
Paper Dungeon without a technical issue.
I was
Well,
really about to say that we were back, Grant, so don't diss me.
I could have gotten naked.
I would not have let you.
Nonetheless, Leshka, Tarak, Vyzen, Volna, Lada, just about every important NPC, and Leshka.
Insert every important NPC.
Well, Leshka's not really an NPC,
Mary-centric.
he's a PC.
Oh, I see.
Leshka's a weird in between.
I see.
Takaram? What's up with that guy?
You guys don't know. Haven't seen him in a
Okay.
while.
To Karen,
Yeah,
He's
he's
just,
not there.
he's just wandering just in the background. We just
Sam,
you just see
Ethan,
Poyo just hopping behind him
Charles.
adorably.
Our boy Poyo. Love that man.
Havel's corpse is just being drugged.
It's just floating on the
No,
shore.
Havel is just a drowned.
Yep.
But yeah,
Also, there's a
Leshka
trident thrown
will
in.
show up with some friends as he rushes over and says, "Friends, well done, you did it."
Ah!
Thank you,
I
Leshka.
cast a
We
spell
did it.
just past him out of a trauma response.
We did it.
Oh, all right.
Clovar's
All
reign
right.
is over.
Volna comes up to you, Cather, and just immediately pulls you into a very tight hug.
Oh yes, huge hug in response.
Good job for not dying.
Thank you. I'm glad everyone seems to be all right. Are any of the members of the Chosen here? Did you say that, DM? No.
Nope.
I will say, as the group is approaching, Edward will take like this thick black felt like cloth, and he'll essentially wrap the rod in it. He came prepared, and he'll like keep the rod in his pack concealed,
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
so that like people don't really see him with it.
Apathy will lean over and
And-
go, I wasn't expecting that to be its use, but I now understand why you asked for it. That's good thinking. And I'll lean back.
Of course. I think out of it later, maybe out of it, we can make some like masks or something.
Yeah.
And
spicy.
Edward will like wipe the tears off of his face, try to compose himself, and stand up and turn around like it's showtime. He'll turn around as if he's like nothing has happened. He's like, "Yeah, it's the end. We did it, guys! Woo!" He'll pop some champagne.
Right.
That's what the champagne was for.
Yeah, I've got 2 more in my bag.
Oh, hot dog.
Champagne for everybody. BYOC, bring your own cup. I didn't bring any.
Do we know, guys? Did any of the members of the Chosen were they linked on our walkie-talkie system?
Yes, they're dead.
Well, yes, the dead ones. I'm talking about if there are any other ones.
They were the
Probably
ones
the ones that are dead, or the ones
Yeah.
that had the walkie-talkie.
the ones
Okay.
that went to Eridor were the main chosen ones.
Okay.
So
Okay. Has Leshka met any members of the Chosen? I don't
Met
know.
a couple. What do you need to order? The
I mean,
Because hey, we succeeded, kind of
well,
thing.
they know.
yeah,
They know because of the big orb system.
Oh, I suppose that is true. Apathy did project to the whole world and be like, hey,
Thinking
we did
ahead.
the thing.
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
Well, actually, at this moment, we're going to go ahead and jump forward just a little bit. You guys have spent the next couple of days recovering, letting your bodies heal a little bit. The world has been kind of in a momentary pause before you now find yourself on your way back in Athala to this grand revelry, this celebration of your guys' victory. This is where most of the people have decided to come to celebrate, and so the city has been overrun with people. It's just one massive just swarm of people all partying, hanging out, celebrating, drinking, having a good time. And you guys find yourself in this kind of nice tavern, one that overlooks the rest of the city. If you remember, you have to take a floating little pylon to get up to it.
the platinum cranes.
No,
The
it's
grand reopening.
yeah, exactly.
12, well,
what's it
the
called?
12 Platinum Cranes is a place that we stayed at one point, but
It
then
is.
there's
This
also
is
the
the
Sunrise
fancy
Suites,
Third ring. This is the Sunrise
That's what it
Suite,
is.
yes.
which
Sunrise
was the
Suite.
even fancier one.
Yes.
Wow, that's like
So you guys now find
Great
yourself
meeting.
in the Sunrise Suite with the ability to step out onto the balcony that now overlooks the whole city, which is just a glow with celebrations. There's lights everywhere. There's dancing. There's singing. There's drinking. There's revelry. But up in the Sunrise Suite, it was reserved for more personal friends, where it's you guys, it's Melora. There's obviously members of the Order of the Chosen, people that you've known from the Scholar's Guide. There's friends. There's Vyzen and Tarak and all of them. So this is where there's more opportunities to kind of have those moments with each other. If you guys want to roleplay anything through here, you're more than welcome to. If not, that's totally fine as well. This is just the opportunity. If there's basically any important NPC that you want to talk to, now is your time. So if that's something you guys would like to do, just let me know.
At some point in time, I'd like to get in contact with the remaining sacrifices.
Okay, they're all here.
Yeah, including Kiyomura. So at some point in time, I'll like stop by each one and be like, "Hey, at 1:15, insert the next hour. Meet me in the side room. I have a couple of questions for you." And
Okay.
then I'll tell each one of them that, so they all show up at the same time.
Perfect. That time comes around. No, heck you, Drew.
Yeah, one at a time, buddy.
And you now find yourself in one of the side rooms with Miriam Azima, Lorelai, Adrian, Oscorus, Laurelan, and Kiyomura. That's four, right?
That's
Yeah.
4, I think.
Yeah. I was like, wait. So one more? Am I missing one? No, that's the 4 of them. You want to speak with us, Aventhy?
Yes, I was wondering if I could get your thoughts on a couple of things. First off, I don't mean to sour the mood, but I figured I'd rather do it now than wait until the end of the party, because that's just the type of man I am.
Okay.
Well, as you all know, we still have the problem of the truths to deal with. You can see at this point in time, Abinthy has like dark bags under his eyes. He has like
He's
not,
not
slept. Like it's like everyone was like, yeah, let's take a. Finally, we can rest and relax and go to a party. And Abinthy's been like, I have not slept in 4 days. He's just been in the lab. No one has seen him. No one knows what's going on.
Abinthy showed up 2 hours late to the party, immediately went and found all the sacrifices and said, hey, meet me here in 15 minutes.
Yep, I'm wearing pajamas.
Yeah.
And it's like the high society. I have like holes in my shirt. And I'm like, so the truths still need to be dealt with.
Yes.
Obviously, in order for the truths to be dealt with, something needs to occur to the 4 of you.
Yes.
Now, I would like to present an opportunity that I'm not sure will work. For those of you who are interested in dying, for those of you who are tired, by all means, I am fully willing to give you that opportunity. For those of you who aren't, there's a chance that I could grant you one last option to live out a normal amount of days. The rest of your mortal lifespan. I can't guarantee that the option will function. It may take me a try or two. Maybe it won't. But it's an option. Basically, I'm going to, if you are willing, attempt to fool your enchantment.
All of them sit there contemplating for a second. And it's interesting because you like look over. Would you make an insight check just in general?
I would love nothing more than to make an insight check. Okay, that's a good roll. Let's see what my insight. Am I proficient in insight? Oh my hot dang, I am. That's a 26.
Nice. As you look over each member of this group, they all have different complicated emotions. Miriam Azima she's kind of interesting because she's like, I'm not against dying, but I'm also a little scared to not be around and not be able to. She's like got control issues where she's like, if I'm not here, who's gonna keep everything in line, you know? Lorelai is like, of course you kidding? No, absolutely not. I got experiments to do. I have no interest in this at all. Oscorus is kind of like, I've been around for like 10,000 years, and I'll probably still be around for like 10,000 years, even if it was my normal lifespan. So does it really make a difference to me? And Kimura is like,
I prefer to be alive, please.
I kind of just, like, I'm like 26, man, you know, like, I'd like to kind of keep that going for a little while. So of them, Oscorus and Miriam are probably the only ones that are kind of open to the idea. But even then, it would be take a little bit of convincing. You see them all just kind of like look at each other for like looking down before Kimura goes, at least for myself, I made the decision thinking that I'd be around for a while, and I'm perfectly content to keep that going. Can I ask, what would happen to the truth if I were to no longer be a sacrifice? How are you? What exactly do you mean by this?
Well, I've been experimenting the past several days. I've been examining the remaining truths that we have and examining the enchantment that binds them to you. From what I've discovered, there are some qualifications required to activate them. One of them is your death. There's also a matter of blood, so on and so forth. Obviously, it's very high-level magic. The theory is, if I can convince the spell that your blood has touched the altar, and it has resulted in your death with the specific correct ritual, then the truth will be activated. Now that we have the rod, once the truths are activated, we may be able to destroy each individual truth with another truth. If this works, you would be able to live as a normal mortal, having your oath fulfilled. You would die at the time that would be right for your normal lifespan, and the truths would be destroyed.
Okay.
Assuming nothing goes wrong.
And do you know... Actually, Miriam's the one that would say this. And do you know what the chances of this going wrong would be?
Well, I've never done it before. So I'd say that the first one or two aren't great odds. But I am very good at what I do. So there's that.
Long as we have the rod, in theory, we should be able to maintain control over the truths.
Yes, I mean, we'll need to destroy the truths regardless. What I'm saying is, if we're going to destroy the truths, do any of you still want a chance at living one last normal lifespan as a mortal?
Oscorus will speak up. I am perfectly content with the life I have lived. But if I can continue to guide my people, then I would bear that burden for as long as my body would now allow me. Kimura will then respond. I mean, yeah, if I don't have to spend the next 10,000 years trying to figure out how to entertain myself, that'd probably be pretty good. Miriam kind of looks over at the two boys before kind of looking over at Lorelei. If the truths are gone entirely, then I would wish to pass on and be with my husband. Lorelei then speaks up. So, what if we just, kept one truth, you know?
Then it would be Kiyomura's. I think you've already agreed to this.
I did, yeah.
I'm pretty sure I have it in writing, actually.
Roll back the tapes.
I pull up a recording of her being like, Kiyomura.
It's us live, and it's very confusing.
I'm
to
like,
them.
hold on, I live streamed this.
Exactly. Well, I guess there's plenty of time to figure out some other way for immortality.
I mean, I figured it out. I solved death like a week ago.
Maybe we could switch notes then.
Oh, I would love a study session. We'll talk. Assuming that you survive.
Alright. Then if we can get rid of the truths, then that's probably a good thing.
Well, fantastic. We'll have to test the whole truth destroying another truth thing with the two that we already have unlocked. And then, assuming that that functions correctly, I will meet each of you who have agreed to the chance at the specific time. In terms of order, I will start with Okaro, seeing as you seem the most willing other than Miriam.
Well, you should start with me, I think, just because I'm the one who actually wants to die.
Oh, well, no. I mean, in terms of attempting my magic.
Yes.
Since you don't need it.
Well, yes, since I don't need it, I should be the one to experiment on.
Oh, so I should try it first anyway on you, and then
Exactly.
if you... But what if
Something
you...
goes
What if
horribly
it
wrong,
works?
then it's already what we were going to do anyway.
Well, yeah, but
If
if
it works, then
you
someone can just kill me.
Oh, but who are we going to ask to do that, Miriam?
Lorelei raises her hand.
Cather,
Okay,
Cather has a
but
way to
we're-
give peaceful death.
That's fair. We're not gonna
Cather will
do that.
euthanize her.
Yeah, exactly. That seems inhumane, and I may be a mortal, but I still have mortal sensibilities.
I have been around for a very long time. And if I have to live, I mean, technically I'm human. So, like, even if it's another 70 years that I live, then that's fine.
I mean, I mean, I don't want to say. How old were you when you initially entered into this pact?
Well, I was 33, I think.
I mean, after everything that's happened, you probably only have at most 40 years.
Exactly. So
That's-
if it goes
yeah, this-
incredibly right, then I live my 40 years. And if it goes wrong, then I'm dead anyway, and that's fine. I'm with my
Okay,
husband.
in that case, as long as you are willing to be the first run, we'll start you, Okaro, then head to Lorelei and Kiyomura. Is that acceptable?
They all nod in agreement.
Fantastic. In that case, enjoy what very well may be your last party, assuming that I fail.
They all just
Uh,
kind of chuckle to themselves before getting up and rejoining the party. Cather, Edward, you watch as all of the people leave this room, and then Abinthy just kind of like grabs the door frame, just kind of leans against it a little bit.
I've been asleep the entire conversation.
Yeah.
Cather, do you have a thing after they get back or during while they're gone?
I was going to during while they're gone.
Okay,
If
perfect.
you have
go
a thing
first.
for during while they're gone too.
No, I have a thing for when they get back.
Okay, perfect.
Drew, while they're gone, what would you like to do?
Okay, so DM, how many members of Fate's Gambit are here at this party?
Everybody but Havel.
Havel's
We'll say
corpse is like mummified. No, I'm just
Yeah.
kidding. That's so dark.
He's in the ice sculpture.
yeah.
Ew.
Uh,
It's so weird.
There's even Renaya, and Gratz is not here, but Renaya is also here as well.
Okay,
I'll
so
also
so
say
basically
there are, like,
everybody but
beady-
Havel.
There are beady little fey like eyes peeping out of the shadows.
That's Havel.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this doesn't necessarily need to be a full roleplay moment, obviously, since not everyone's here. But Cather will kind of take a moment to gather everyone around, and I imagine like they find just like a balcony that's kind of like, you know, just a little bit away from the party and just, you know, a little quieter, and kind of just looks over the city of Athala. And Cather will just say, Man, I don't think the view of the city ever gets old.
I remember when you and Meloris first showed up in Athala, and
Yeah.
I ran into Rack in the alleyways, and
I can see the
Renaya.
street that I kidnapped you on from here.
yeah, look at that! Oh my gosh, that hurt. I remember.
Oh, everything hurt you.
And Havel, he was as lofty as ever, I guess. Back then.
He was so crazy.
We're all a little crazy back then.
Yeah.
I mean,
So this is Yumi, Melora,
everybody but Havel.
Renaya. Yeah, everyone but Havel.
It seems so far away, though, that day when we mistaked one another at first for fellow cultists.
Yeah, well, to be fair, several of us are probably considered cultists.
That's fair. That's.
Do you remember when Edward was in love with that hag?
Oh yes, when
Okay,
he
well,
flirted
that's
with
a bit of an
Melancina.
You
exaggeration.
mean now?
You mean when she thought I was? You know, I'm not even going to get into this.
Oh,
Have you
my
told
lord.
Sam about her?
Okay, that
I
you
mean,
know,
there's not much
I was
to
interested
tell.
for
I
like
mean,
2
didn't
days,
she-
and then
she-
I learned she was a witch, and
She-
so then I wasn't interested anymore.
She turned into ash, didn't she?
I think so.
What?
You know, Well, do you
Renaya
just-
speaks
oh,
up
there.
with like she turned into Ash.
She turned into ash. Well, I will say that Track, I'm glad you scooped me up in the alleyway that day. I wondered if I actually was happy that was the case for a while, but now I can say I'm glad it happened.
At this point, you see on one of the platforms there is a couple figures that are floating up towards the Sunrise Suite, making their way towards that balcony that you guys are on. It's hard because it's like, first of all, it's nighttime, and then you have all the city lights down beneath, so they're like black backlit.
Yeah.
And so it's just like really, really difficult. But after a little while, you see a purple tiefling.
Yeah.
A one-armed drow
What?
woman.
And his dad. The cleric.
As they float up. I wasn't expecting all of you guys to be here.
Track is like,
You're dead.
Edward, you owe me 20 gold. I put my money on this the moment
I
he died.
thought that was an easy con.
100%, I
How
caught
did you
so
disappeared
hard.
at sea? What happened? Where have you
Catherine
been?
very quickly goes over to him and just gives him a full embrace. A little too tight.
Hi. Gather, buddy.
And before setting him down.
Gather.
How are you alive?
Well, I drowned basically. And I'm not really sure what happened, but I found myself in the Feywild when I woke up. And then I tried to get back, but anyway, there's lots of complications. But eventually I found Namira, and he kind of points her out. This is
Hi, yeah,
Lemon.
I think we met.
Lovely to meet you.
And we made our way back to Morencia. Before eventually we actually worked to remove the ledger and its influence from Morencia.
You've been in Morencia this whole time?
I've been laying very low in Morencia.
And you
You
didn't
guys
even
quickly like rose the social ranks, and I didn't want to go deal with it.
I was
Edward?
dead.
I'm sorry about that, buddy.
It did happen. Edward walks over to Havel, and he when they no, they're not dapping up, but he
Ah, wow.
grabs
Wait, you are
Havel.
good enough friends to dap up?
No, it's different. He grabs Havel by the back of the neck, but not in a violent way, just like in an endearing way. Like he grabs his shoulder and his neck. He
The
just
ship
says,
revived.
Havel, I thought I
Edward
lost
has
a brother."
returned.
He holds Havel endearingly, says, "I thought I lost a brother, but now you're back." And then he hugs him.
I will hug you back, and then give you just like a little kiss on the cheek, just a little one.
Oh my word.
Oh my gosh, that was so
That
funny.
was so,
Just
that was so good.
At which point, Renaya and Havel will hug as they were very good friends as well, along with Melora. Everybody.
Group hug. Abinthy's on
Havel
the
hugs
side.
all of you guys, hugs one of you guys, and then he hugs Melora, and then he grabs Renaya before he grabs Edward, and then he's just
The fingers. He's like,
come on,
Come on.
everybody, come on. Hug.
afterwards, Abinthy will walk over and say, we never had the pleasure of meeting. I'm Abinthy Tribowitz. It is a pleasure. I'm the newest real member of Fate's Gambit.
Now hold on.
Wait,
What does that mean?
members?
Well, Kiamora is kind of technically not a full member still.
Kimura still around?
He dealt one of the final blows on Clovar. You can't gatekeep Kiamara.
I'm
at this
sorry,
point.
but he hasn't done the paperwork yet.
Kimura, they just kind of is looking around. His head's popped out the door, and he's like, "Okay, never mind."
That is true.
And he goes back into the party.
No, you
He's
can
not
stay.
on the bank account.
Exactly.
I'm not on payroll.
Yeah, we haven't given him the company card yet.
I'm just saying, you guys owe me $32,000 in legal fees.
Who was that? Was that Havel?
I didn't do
That was
anything.
Kimura.
Was that Kiamara? Oh, I'm sorry. You'll have to talk to our lawyer. We don't have a lawyer.
I thought that was
Mary's in the
Leshko
corner
would
with,
definitely be
like,
the
a
lawyer.
quill.
Leshko would be the lawyer. That's right. Leshko
Mary has
also
a
comes
quill
around the
and
corner
parchment.
like with martinis for everyone, and then realizes he doesn't have enough, and then turns back around and leaves.
Oh, Leshka, let me help you. Kimura will go help Leshka.
Yeah. But once again, I'm fantastic to meet you, and
You're fantastic to meet them.
Yeah, it's fantastic to meet you.
Okay.
Yes, it is a pleasure to make your acquaintance as well.
And
This is
Namira. Wonderful to meet you. What is your relationship?
Oh my gosh.
Namira and I don't know. I'm gonna say, okay, I'm sorry, Ryan. I'm sorry if this is not the case. I don't know if you guys wouldn't do this. I would say that him and Namira would probably be married at this point. It's just
that would
a
make
common
sense.
law marriage.
That
They
feels,
probably have an
Because he-
open relationship.
that feels
they
Yeah.
probably have some complicated type of relationship.
Yeah,
but
it's common law
they're
marriage.
life partners. This
where
is my
they just-
partner, Namira.
Yeah, they've been together so long that legally, like, the law is like, yeah, they're technically married. So
You
they get the
file your
tax
taxes
benefits.
together.
by the way,
Yeah.
by the
They're
way,
co-inhabitants.
for the record, Havel has been furthering his studies, and Namira has since become a well-known bard.
Ooh,
Very nice.
did you
Nice,
message
wow.
Ryan in the midst of this?
No, not in the midst of this. A while ago.
Edward says,
Oh, okay.
"So, what was your relation?" No, I'm just kidding. That's my son. He has a wife. It was the bard
I
joke.
have a wonderful friend that I would love you to meet. Are you? You appear drow. Is that correct? Am I on the money with that one?
Yes, I am.
How
proud.
knowledgeable are you about your culture?
Somewhat. I did spend a little bit of time with them before I came to the surface.
We, Havel and Namira, we must talk some more. I would love to get to know you. I have,
Do you have a particular fascination with drow culture?
well, I
Well,
don't,
he
but I
has-
do.
He has
I
he has
have
a
Kind of a little sister an adopted little sister that is drow, and we have been trying to find any way of contacting another drow for roughly like 20 years, and it's been a real task.
Yes, they aren't particularly. The ones that you tend to run into are usually more aggressive than you'd like them to be when just wanting to like engage with the culture. It's
Plus, I'm just saying, your guys' vibe. You have got to meet my fiance. I think
Havel
we
would
should have
love
we should have a
Glossy.
double date sometime.
Oh
Oh
my.
my goodness.
if that's something that you'd like, I suppose that'd be all right.
Let me tell
Who's your fiance? Would we know this?
Glacia, Lord of the Sixth Name of Hell.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, kinky, fair enough. I respect it.
100%.
Yeah, that's true.
We'll talk more. I hand
Absolutely.
him my personal sending stone.
Yeah.
Anchored.
Havel leans over to Catherine and goes, "He's way cooler than the rest of you guys."
I've been trying
I
to tell
can't
him for
argue.
years.
I can't tell if
It
that's
is.
if you're honest or if it's another dig. But either way,
It
I
can be
still
both.
love you, buddy.
So-
We'll talk
and yes,
more. We have a
Ni-
party to get to.
And yes, Namira or
Namira.
Namira.
Yes, Namira is the one from the one episode where we broke her out of prison.
Yes, and got Renaya killed.
Renaya almost died.
No, she did die.
Oh, she did die.
Full
Yeah.
death.
So Renaya died saving this person.
yes.
And there she is. Awesome. Well, once they. Yeah. Okay.
Well, just give me
Go ahead.
1 second, Grant. Well, I'm gonna get to you in
Yeah,
a second. You guys continue to hang out for just a little while longer, before eventually, slowly, one at a time, each of you get pulled back into the party. Eventually, until Cather, you find yourself by yourself out on this balcony, overlooking the rest of this city, and you can't help but feel maybe just a little nostalgic. You know, memories begin to rise to the surface of your consciousness. Memories from each individual party member in situations. You remember when you first met Melora, trying to fight off those Woe Striders, and her yelling at you to climb this stupid tree, as there's this basically liquid goo trying to encompass you guys, all the way to you finally defeating Prosius, and just that conversation that you guys had about where she's from, Vianola, her history, the lapse in her memory, which you guys now know is her time as an Autumn Daughter. Many memories like that. You remember with Havel, that first time that you guys made camp, and when Havel challenged your faith, and you made that sick line that is, it may be a blind faith, but it's not a foolish one. And you can't help but remember just how, not necessarily shocking, but devastating and revealing it was when Havel was lost at sea, and you realized just how much you depended on him to help you lead the party and make decisions. You remember Tarak. It's so interesting having Tarak. It's interesting having all of them back for the time that they are, since several of them died. Renaya was having to seek refugee, and Havel, you thought you weren't sure what happened to him, but
Right.
with Tarak, it's very interesting because you knew that he sacrificed himself. There was never really a thought that he'd come back, but you remember when he challenged your faith in the catacombs of Athala. You remember the battles that you had together. You remember the vow that you guys made to protect the party together, as the two paladins, and just how painful it was with Tarak's death and how much that really affected you. With Renaya, you remember the two of you guys bonding over your gods, freaking out a little bit at first as Renaya thought that your god was going to kill her, and then not, and then maybe, and then not, and trying to figure out that relationship. You remember when she killed you to separate the two of you guys from your curse, to when you came back and she was just blubbering her apologies to you, and finally when she had to say goodbye as her and Gratz needed to hide away from the other demon lords. With Edward, you remember him calling your faith delusional, and just the natural, I want to say, immaturity that Edward had at the start of this campaign, and how you two have grown so much over the last 3 years, and gone from the brash, and how similar you guys were really in your personalities, from being brash and strong-willed and thick-headed to wise and patient, and strong leaders. You remember when Edward confided in you and was asking for wisdom. You remember Edward reaffirming your faith in fate and the gods of fate. And you kind of chuckles to yourself because you can't help but remember when he finally learned how to pull on the strings of the weave and became the second most capable member of the party. Maybe even the first, but we'll see. We'll see.
Where everyone else ranks on the ladder will remain a mystery.
We'll never know.
Abinthy, you have recent memories as he's come into the game. You remember him sharing his story and his distrust for most of the gods and that complication in your relationship with him. You remember how he kind of basically came about was searching for Tarak and the shame that he felt when he wasn't able to save Tarak. And then more recently, you guys working together to save Talanoshta. All of these memories come back to you, and you just have a moment of in general nostalgia and happy memories. Some of them sad, but many happy memories, and some even of the entire group, from Prosius to the Anathema to the fighting the Fae to going to Pandemonium, and now finally all of you being here with all of your friends and the people that you've come to call family over the last few years. celebrating with you guys as you defeated Clovar. It's a happy memory. And there's just a single tear that rolls down your face. Before eventually you feel another presence out on the balcony with you.
Cather will just kind of look, open his eyes back up and kind of look up and out for a moment before just slowly turning to
before you even get to
presence.
turn, you feel a weight against your back as arms wrap around you, and out of the corner of your eye you can see the face of Atrasil come around your shoulder and just rest her chin on your shoulder as she kind of holds you from behind.
He just kind of tilts his head down and kind of just lightly rests it against the top of her head before turning around and just holding her close and holding her tight and holding back tears, just saying, "I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry I never was able to come and save you."
If you had come to save me, the rest of the world would have perished, and I would have been very upset with you.
I'm so glad you're okay.
I don't know if he ever could have truly hurt me.
I'm glad he didn't. And I'm glad that I was right to put my faith in you. And you'll have to tell me about it sometime.
It was honestly pretty boring. I sat in my cell, and I twiddled my thumbs.
I was more talking about before that.
Okay.
And I'll just kind of hold her, and after just a little while of silence, just the music creeping in from the celebration, and the two of them will just kind of sway slightly, just ever so slightly dancing to the festival music going on inside.
After you sway for just a little while, she'll kind of just place one hand on the side of your face before kissing your other cheek. I look forward to seeing you soon. But at the moment, you have other company to attend to. And she like walks back into the room, but she just disappears as she goes to the doorway.
Right.
You kind of watch as she leaves before turning. You're like looking at the doorway over here, and you like turn your head, just kind of like look through the windows, and you realize in the corner of the eye there are 3 figures standing.
Just kind of
Just keeps on going.
just a little bit a ways away. Is it like an obvious, like there's a pathway to get to where they're standing at?
They're on the balcony with you.
Oh, they're just on the balcony. They're like right next to me.
Well, you must remember you're in the Sunrise Suite. This is a carved place in the ceiling of the cave.
That's right.
That
It's
Athal is
a pretty
built
big.
into. There's not a thing for you guys to go over there. It's like, hey, here's the suite, and then there's the balcony, and that's it.
Yeah.
It's
okay.
not a place for you guys to go to or anything like
Okay,
that.
yeah,
So it's
yeah.
just like you look at this side of the balcony and the entrance into the suite, and then on that side of the balcony, now there's 3 gods waiting for me.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Popular
Cather-
guy.
Yeah. Right. I guess. He'll breathe heavy for a moment. Just kind of let out a single breath before turning and facing them and walking just a little bit closer to them. I'm glad to see all of you are all right. I wasn't sure how involved in the battle you would have to be.
Clovar prevented a lot of divine intervention. And so we found ourselves rather useless, depending on our champions, depending on you. We are very happy with our choice.
Thank you.
There is a matter to be discussed, though.
All right.
Cather, we have cheated ourselves many times to keep you on this plane and to keep you as our champion. And for that, we must apologize to you. You are a man who has only wanted peace and rest. And you have lived your life dedicated to us, Cather. So now we have a choice for you. If peace and rest is still what you seek, the grove awaits for you.
And the other
But
choice?
if you wish to live a life for yourself instead of one for us, you have earned that right as well.
And if I choose the second option, what awaits for me after?
The grove awaits no matter when you end.
I understand. He will kind of stand at, he's been kind of, still kind of leaning against the rail this time. Not like laxly, but almost like dependently. And he'll kind of stand tall for a moment, stand in front of the three of them and kind of kneel down and say, I have dedicated my whole life, my whole rebirth to serving you and your will. And I am truly humbled by your offer. And it proves to me that what I fought for in fighting against Clovar was the right choice. I feel as though there's still much more that I wish to do. I've fought my whole life to protect my friends and my family. And I found myself wishing to have time to enjoy what I fought for, what I lived for. And please understand that I will always be your champion and ally as long as you will have me. For I fear there's still more work to be done yet in this dawning of a new age. This broken world that desperately needs healing. I wish to help in whatever way I can in providing a new era of peace. So I thank you for giving me this choice to choose my own fate as you have taught me to do. And
It is our pleasure.
he'll stand and just give another kind of bow to each of them.
It is our pleasure. We wish to see your life lived full. And know that the era of the White Guard is no longer needed again. And so you are free to do with your life whatever pleases you, with no expectation from us.
Thank you.
We
And
honor you for your service. And each one of them will bow very low to you. And you feel around your neck the stag necklace that you have. It's interesting because it glows and kind of burns hot against your skin for just a second before turning from the silver and kind of gold inlays that it has to a Vestrusium with crystal adornments, with like diamond adornments. And it doesn't hum with quite the same energy anymore. It's a symbol of the fact that you have moved on from this role as the champion of fate, and that your position is no longer needed, but you still have that power and connection to the gods, and an understanding that like what you are capable of is something that came from you without needing divine permission, basically.
After that happens, he'll just kind of pause.
When you look back up again, they're each gone.
And he'll turn back around and make his way back into the party and enjoy the rest of the evening with the rest of his friends and companions.
Edward did want to do something, Aaron. But what is it that you want to do?
Me?
Yes.
Yeah, go for it.
It's pretty quick. Abinthy had previously, before the party started, scoped out the venue and put up a bunch of alarm spells around the building to notify him when a celestial presence would enter the compound. When that alarm goes off, Abinthy is just going to plane shift to Celestia, and he's just going to be waiting in the Gods of Death house.
Okay.
Yo,
He's just going to be there.
that's
He's just going to be
crazy.
propped up.
Bro,
He's been here for way too long, but he's like, if I move now, it's going to lose the effect.
Yo, that's so
absolutely.
sick.
Absolutely. Which one?
We'll go to the neutral one.
Okay.
the neutral one?
The neutral one.
To Oragal?
Yeah.
Okay. You find yourself in this. Oragal's, it's funny because Oragal's is just like basically it's Luigi's mansion. It's just a old decrepit haunted place.
Yep. I'm on an old couch.
Yeah.
Propped up.
He arrives it's funny because he like shows up and he's just this old man like hunched over with a shovel, and he like opens the door and stands up straight and tall, and all of a sudden he has these beautiful black wings that kind of erupt off his body. He's got these horns that kind of come back with the golden inlays and accents that adorn his body, all of a sudden like reappear before he turns to you. With the Triplewits.
To clarify for those who don't fully understand, if you don't, Oragal is one of the death gods that just talked to Cather. So
Yes.
Abinthy went to Celestia to then meet the death god there. Because I don't know if that was clear, but go ahead.
Don't worry, I'm not here to cause any trouble. I just come with a message, and this seemed like the easiest way to deliver it. As you may or may not know, I solved death a little while ago. So basically what I'm coming to say is I come bearing a message and a warning. The gods weren't very present for this last event. As I'm sure that you realized, yes, I know that you were interfered with, but mortals won this war. And so I would like to ask for a little bit of respect. I would like to ask the gods to back off a bit. It's a mortal world now. I will be doing the same. The warning is that if I sense any interference from immortals in the natural course of the mortal world, I will oppose it. I don't mind if you have your champions here and there. You still have to interact in some way. People believe in you, and that is worth something. But from now until, well, frankly, forever, I will be there stopping immortals from interfering. Thank you for what you've done for Katha.
There are no thanks necessary. He has done everything that we could ever ask of him. As for your warning, it brings an interesting thought.
I'm all for interesting. Hit me.
I do not fear you nor your warning, nor would any of the gods.
Well, foolishness runs in the blood.
Mortals did win this war, and deserve a say. So, speak with your mortals, with those that speak for the people. And I would be unopposed to being an embassy for the gods while we work through potentially creating a veil.
That sounds good enough for me, and my warning does stand. This is frankly fantastic. I'm glad that you're open to the idea. I will be there in case anyone breaks that pact. If any god attempts to move past this veil, interfere in ways that aren't quite right. I defeated Lanantari's first creation. You're a little late in the game.
Could I present to you another offer as well?
Oh, a bargain. 2 for 1.
I find you very fascinating, and your lack of divinity makes you a dangerous partner.
Well, I go by many names, but one of the most prevalent in my life has been the enemy of God. That was given to me by a priest.
There are many amongst my divine council that have an evil will,
I've noticed.
but those amongst this council cannot do anything against them. We are incapable of harming another divine being.
Well, let me tell you, I'm certainly in the market for a little harming the divine. Do you have a bounty board?
A great culling could be necessary.
Oh
As we
boy.
went in.
You don't have to tell me anymore, I'm already salivating. Also, I hope that you don't mind, but I am marrying the daughter of the person that killed you. I hope this doesn't interfere with our relationship. I plan on causing plenty of trouble for him, too.
Asmodeus was my best friend. We have a complicated relationship.
I've noticed you two are the only people who have been willing to actually talk things out in a bargaining sense. I've been on the fence about you. I don't know if I'm a big fan of the other two in your little triad, but you're all right, Origal. You're all right.
So, details to be arranged. But you will act as an embassy for the mortals as we create a veil preventing divine intervention, and act as the headhunter for those who are not fit for the divine title.
For the second part, absolutely. For the first part, I think I might actually know someone better. I am by no means a good man. I should not be trusted to be an emissary for the people of the world. Not to mention, it would be hypocritical of me as someone who is now immortal to be the stand-in for the mortals. But there's a certain young girl I know that would be very fit for the position. And I guarantee you she'll take it.
One final thing before you go.
By all means, 3 for 1. It's BOGO Sunday.
My natural process of aging will not kill you. But death still can come for us all.
For now,
For now.
I've beaten one of the 3. It just means that I have 66.6 repeating chance to continue in this life and solve the rest. I'm quite good at puzzles. I pray that this relationship continues well. By the way, do you know any way of... Recently,
My goodness.
I devoted a temple to my least favorite of you 3. It was an act of desperation. Is there any way to undo that? Do I just have to raise the temple from the planet?
It's a simple solution.
It is pretty simple, actually, now that you think of it. I did blow a hole in the side of a mountain. Well, it's been a pleasure talking to you. Just so you know, you are invited to the wedding, although I doubt that you'll make it because it's in hell. Theomora, Cather is invited. Theomora will probably come. But thanks for giving him the option. I was willing to fight you for at least 5 visitations. But if he has a free reign of his mortal life, then I suppose that we won't have to come to conflict. And I'm very excited for our relationship moving forward. Contact me anytime. You know where I am.
I look forward to it.
Abinthy's already gone, and then a business card will float to the couch.
Abinthy Tripwitz, ladies and gentlemen.
This guy. Oh my gosh.
Oracle is such a cool god because he's just so neutral to everything. He's like, yeah, you want to go
Orgal
kill
and
all the evil
Abinthy should
gods?
have a
Sure.
side series.
See,
100%, dude.
I do find it amusing that you mentioned how like you don't like the other 2 because it's like, you know, it's almost like there's a reason there's 3 of them. It's almost like they balance each other out.
See, the good one, she's too nice. And then the bad one is just a jerk.
Yeah, no.
Orgal's pretty chill.
Yeah.
Like, I could see a sitcom where Abinthy, Oracle, and Asmodeus all get a flat. And there's a laugh track all the time.
Oh my god.
Because like Oracle will wake up and like Asmodeus is about to stab him. And like Abinthy walks in and like pushes the dagger a bit so it stabs in the bed, and Oracle's like, Asmodeus, and then there's a laugh track that rolls.
Asmodeus like turns to the camera and just goes,
Yeah, we all turn, and then the
yeah,
like,
exactly,
title screen happens.
exactly.
Yeah, it'll happen.
Grant, you have been very, very patient.
Thank you.
While all of this has been going on, after the sacrifices leave the room, you wanted to do something.
Well, this is the perfect time because Edward has been waiting for everybody to be in the same space. And so once Abinthy like appears or walks into the room or however Abinthy gets
I
back.
show up from behind the bar.
That's good.
He just appears behind the
Edward
bar,
will
drink in
notice
hand.
and say, oh, Abinthy's here. Drinks everybody. And everybody's like getting drinks. Somebody shuffles over and hands you a drink, Abinthy.
I have a full bottle of wine.
That's good.
I
And
just show up with it.
Edward stands up on a table and says, everybody, a toast. And he holds up a glass. And it's pretty clear that Edward's been drinking a bit. Everybody's been having a good time, laughing, drinking, it's the whole shebang. And he goes, incredible feats were performed to overcome Clovar's forces. Cather, with his incredible swordsmanship, shwa, and Kiamora with his 3-part staff, taking down Clovar, and Abinthy, my good friend, blowing a hole in the side of a mountain, which I've never seen.
You flatter me.
And I, well, listening, doing what I must. And together, we managed to bring down Clovar. There was a time. Thank you, Cather.
No, that
There
wasn't
was a
Cather. That was a
time.
drunk citizen.
Thank you, citizen, whom I love.
you too, random citizen.
There was a time where I didn't think it was possible. There was a time when I believed in the faith of defeat. But now I stand in a room with people whom I love, a belly full of drink, and my heart is full of gratitude. So I offer a toast to everyday people like us who make life worth living.
Cheers!
I love the fact that he's like to everyday people as it's literally the room full of the most powerful people on the
I
planet.
know, right? And Edward will kind of stumble down off the chair and then on the floor, and he says, "By the way, I will be gone for some time. There's much to do across Nicomuris, much to rebuild. So let's enjoy ourselves tonight. Let's have some laugh, have some drink, play a song or two, and we will return to one another someday."
Absolutely. You guys
And
continue
they
with the
start-
revelry for the rest of the night. In the morning, each of you find yourself. Some of you with a headache. Some of you not. Some of you can't can't get hungover.
We just
pretty nice.
we just say no.
We just say no. Over the course of the next year. Yes, Aaron?
Real quick.
Yeah.
I would like to have in the morning a very quick conversation with Edward. I assume that
Oh.
similar to how Cather once found him standing beneath the full moon on Edward's wedding night, this time he is standing on the balcony, still holding a bottle of wine, though it may be empty, as the sun rises and Edward, bleary-eyed, walks onto the balcony. If that is acceptable.
Abinthy.
Yes.
Yeah, Abinthy, were you up all night?
Sleep has been an afterthought recently.
Yes, you've told me you're still having trouble sleeping even after all this. And Edward will join Abinthy, resting his elbows on the balcony.
Well, sleep is a territory that I have not yet conquered, I suppose. But after this is all done, Edward, once you've gone and rebuilt the things that you need to rebuild, what do you plan on doing? Nice.
Oh, it's
10 out of 10.
DJ's toilet.
That was so
That's
far
never
away. Holy
happened
cow.
before. That's never happened before in TPD history.
And he's like, oh, I think Cather's awake.
While Abinthy's role-playing with Edward for the final
At
time,
this
let me
moment,
just flush my
Cather
toilet.
also walks out shirtless. Just
He just
You gonna
passes
interrupt us?
past the
what
door.
are you two doing right now? Why are you awake? You're not elves.
I didn't sleep. You should
Go
go back to
back
bed.
to bed.
I know you can't get drunk, but you seem drunk.
I've been awake for the past 3.5 hours.
Go back to bed.
Fine, screw you, Abinthy. Cather turns back around.
But what do you
Oh.
plan on doing after this? Well, after
Well,
everything's
after,
complete.
Well, I have a vague idea of how I'm going to travel the world. I only have a year, A year to use what Lanatari gave me to restruct the world. And after that, well, I suppose I'll come back to Sam. Live in the estate. Help with Athala. Do my part. I'll be honest, I don't have much of a plan after that. Why do you ask?
Your speech last night, it got me thinking about things. It's I've been running for a long time. And I stopped a little while ago, but I've just been so busy after that. And I've talked a little bit to Cather about the plans I have for the future, and eventually I think I'll teach. But I think that I would like some time.
Yes?
Talonashta has been bugging me for a long, long time. And there's no reason that a girl of her age should be confined to a mountain. Would you mind if we, after you were done repairing everything, would you mind if we hung around?
What's in it for me? He looks at you with like a knowing look, like he's obviously joking with you.
I totally don't recognize it. What is it? What is in it for you? I'll be honest, I have much to offer, but nothing that you terribly need. I could kill someone for you. No, I'm not doing that anymore. I'm not doing that anymore.
Abinthy, and he puts his hand on his shoulder. Your presence is more than enough. I'd be very happy. I'd be delighted, in fact, if you came and stayed with me.
Talonashta could use someone to teach her about normal things. I don't want her turning into someone like me.
I might be able to assist with that if Sam helps me. Sam is much...
Sam and her would get along.
Yeah, well, Sam perfectly. Is much more in tune with the way things are than I am, certainly.
I
still feel myself fumbling around.
Start to finish,
she seems to always know what she's doing.
Start to finish, Edward, you have always been a man of the people. Even with all the crazy gods and fae and demons and devils running around. I talk a lot about mortality and immortality. But you were always the best of us, Edward.
Oh. And you were always a great teacher.
Well, I've gotten better.
I have much to do.
Question. Would you also be willing to help me out with one other task? Just as moral support.
I suppose.
I have faced down every monster imaginable. But to tell you the truth, there's been one thing that I have always been too afraid to do. When I was very young, I left home. And since then, I have not spoken to my parents.
Oh.
I know that they live. But would you be willing to come with me? It feels wrong for me to hide from them after this.
From what I understand, Lanatari gave me the job of not just rebuilding, but reconciliation. I think it's a part of what I have to do, Abinthy. I think I have to go with you.
All right. Mother, father, their names are Melissa and Tarnan.
Okay. Write that down.
Their name's Mel for short.
Write that down.
Eventually, I will contact you when hopefully we both have time. Hold me to it, because I might get cold feet halfway through. But okay. I figured that it would be probably best to have my parents at my own wedding.
I'd like that idea.
All right, well, I suppose we have some work to do.
As their conversation begins to wind down, Cather does
hear
return.
The toilet flush.
Cather does return.
Cather leaves the bathroom.
Again.
It's
fully clothed with some socks with sandals on.
Oh yeah.
Nice.
Holding several cups of tea.
Cather would be a socks and sandals guy.
He walks over and hands a cup to the two of them, and kind of just wraps his
Oolong
arms
tea.
over their shoulders and says, "Good. I'm glad you guys worked this all out because I was going to be really worried if Fate's Gambit was going to break up or something. The boy band I think
Cather.
needs to stick around just a little bit longer."
You remembered my favorite tea. It's oolong tea. Thank you so much. I haven't had this in months.
Cather
so
doesn't
happy.
see it, but Edward super does as he looks over in the hug and flips the tea out and then conjures coffee into it.
Aaron, I was literally thinking that you would do that too because I'm pretty sure Abinthy isn't a tea guy, but I don't remember that.
And he
Abinthy-
gives Edward the look of don't say a word.
Abinthy tears open one of those little packets
Yeah,
of
the instant coffee.
Yeah, just
100%. He's like,
So
yeah, that's the stuff. Speaking of which, going forward, I plan on going a bit dark. I've gotten a little too well known. That being,
how dark are you thinking?
I plan on pretty much erasing the name Abinthy Tripowitz from any known stuff that has happened in the past 3 to 5 years.
good luck with that.
Right.
I think it'll be easier than you think. I plan on spreading a few rumors. In the after effects of this war, there will be some negative things said about, the group. And I plan on shifting the blame to the name Abinthy Tripowitz. I ask that you please don't try to refute these claims, because most of them will be made by myself.
Well, ordinarily, I would say that I feel it's unjust, but I suppose if you're the one spreading the rumors, then if it's what you'd like.
Yeah, if this is what feels like a good new start for you, Abinthy, then I will respect that.
It's a whole new game to play. Good old fresh start. New stories, starting from scratch, blank paper.
Also,
We're going to see where this one goes.
Also, I'm not quite sure when, but I might need your help with something.
You are the second divine-ish creature to give me that statement today. And let me tell you, if it's as good as the first one, I'm in.
Good to know.
All right,
Cather,
team
before-
break.
Well, Cather, before I go, Edward will hold out his hand.
Uh-huh.
Do you shake it?
I take his hand, yeah.
Okay, Edward just gives you a handshake and says, I'd like to say thank you. Thank you for this journey and for, well, doing what you do best. Keeping us together, fighting the enemy, and having the faith to carry us all, I suppose, and all of the other good things I'm supposed to say. I'm a bit of a loss for words. It's...
Cather will just pull Edward into a hug and say, "Hey, we did it. It's all that needs to be said."
We did it. And I'll see you again.
Well, of course you'll see me again. I'll be traveling with you for the next year. Somebody needs to watch your back.
Well, that's good news. I thought I was going alone.
Well, I mean,
Oh,
unless you want
better
to,
pack.
but I figured...
We only have a year, and I got 4 days until my moat comes back. So we got to get to the next destination as fast as we can.
I haven't given you my personal sending stone yet. Normally it's for, well, private calls. But if you ever need any help from some hodunk wizard in the middle of nowhere, give me a call. Plus, you have those interdimensional clickers I gave you, so if communications go
Right.
down, feel free to click those. 1 time for, hey, just want to chill. 2 times for, we are in incredible danger. 3 times for, I need special assistance.
Okay.
Just look, you plan on traveling, seeing some sights. If you end up in a situation that you're like, having these expertise would be required here,
I'll keep
I'm
you
in.
in mind. Okay.
we'll
You
do.
happy?
Well, we should probably get to work. I've got some people to potentially
Yeah,
accidentally
do
kill.
you, Abinthy, do you want to use the ship for that? Like, if you're gonna have a kaiju battle, it'd be best if you have a good vantage point to see it from.
I don't have a sailing license.
That's
I'm
unfortunate.
trying to follow the rules here. Don't worry, I can fly.
Mhm.
So,
Goodbye, Abinthy.
Goodbye. My business card floats to the ground.
As he disappears. But we actually see him like 30 feet away. He just misses
Yeah, I'm like-
steps.
As Abinthy walks away, Edward like slips him a piece of paper, and what it says is 5 clicks for the rat.
By all means.
The rat
So-
signal.
The rat signal.
you guys end the rest of your night, or actually, this is the morning. You go about the rest of your day, and we won't roleplay the rest of the day or anything like that. But over the course of the next year or so, and following that, the rest of your guys' lives, there is a lot that goes through. And so I'm going to have you guys explain a little bit about what each of your characters does over the next however long. I am going to start just a little bit with a few of the other characters as well. We reached out to several of our old players to learn about what some of the original members of the party would be doing with the rest of their lives, those that have them. And so Molora would spend the rest of her time, she travels again with Ginger, learning all about the world and going on small adventures. Over the course of their life, she connects with Cather and the rest of the party every once in a while. You guys rekindle that bond and that friendship, but continue to be separate. She's no longer a member of Fate's Gambit, but is definitely your friend and ally. And so that's what Melora does with the rest of her life. We already mentioned it a little bit, but Havel has made his way back to Morencia with Namira, and they worked to end the Ledger's influence there in Morencia, and now they are living just quietly between the two of them, enjoying their life. Renaya ends up married to Grotz. Grotz does end up not being a demon prince. He ends up removing himself from that title.
He Hercules is it for Renaya?
He's like, nah, I don't want to do this anymore. And so the two
But
of
see,
them
the awkward
end
thing
up-
is she's still Demon Prince.
yeah, it gets real
That's a-
complicated.
That's a really good ending, actually.
But they are able to keep his palace, and so they live in the Abyss for the most part. That's where they spend a lot of the days, but they travel around quite a bit. They're friends with you guys. You all hang out every once in a while, but they do spend the rest of their days together. As for the rest of you, actually, I'll mention this. Track, after a few days, eventually finds himself back in wherever the afterlife he is, battling once again against the hordes of the undead with his allies once again. Same thing with Phison and several of the other people that were brought back. They pass again peacefully in the night. But as with you three, I suppose, actually, one more time. We're going to pause one more time. Kiyomura will also join you guys many times for your adventures. He would love to help Cather and Edward in their journey as they're going about with the sacrifices. Obviously, there's a lot to do with the sacrifices and the 6 truths as we try and get rid of them, which is going to be a major theme of the next year or so for you guys. And so he goes about that. But eventually, he will return to La Stella, his people, where he would help lead and guide them, eventually becoming quite the elder amongst his people. And that's what Kiyomura would find himself doing. 3 of you. We'll start with Abdi.
Mhm.
Over the next year, 2 years, 5, 10, 50, you have eternity on your side, so you're an interesting character. But what would you like to leave Abdi with?
Yeah, well, I obviously can't go all the way to eternity. That's a really long time. Although he will make it that long. For the next couple of years, he goes and does exactly what he told Edward and Cather that he'd be doing. He spends a lot of time, like, He steals every book that references him from the Scholar's Guide. Just takes
Leshka's
every single
dismay.
one. Yep, they're like
all of
what-
Leshka's life work is
Yep.
now destroyed.
I've been tracking
Um,
this guy for years.
Yep, and so he basically just any reference to him being around is thoroughly dismantled and removed. The little bits and pieces of him that remain, there are certainly good stories about Abinthy triplets, but there are also some that say that he's actually dead, and that the person who was a part of Fate's Gambit was actually a plant by Clovar to lead them into dangerous situations, and any of the deaths that were caused by the war should really be placed on the head of the replacement Abinthy triplets. Some say that it wasn't a replacement, that he's actually just Abinthy triplets, and that was super on him. But any of
He's just a scumbag.
any of the flack from the war, Abinthy places on himself in disguise by moving rumors to him. Once that's all cleared, he goes and he talks with Talanashta about taking the position of the kind of like emissary for mortality.
Mhm.
But in the meantime, they just spend a lot of time hanging out. He takes a break from a bit and spends some time with Yorwick and Talanashta, just like the good old days. Eventually, he takes a teaching position at Lightsbridge Academy, a college that he has talked a little bit about and has been reaching out to him for years to be a professor. And in his spare time, he still does respond to 5 clicks in full costume. And any uprising from Fae or demons, devils, gods, he is quick to quell. And there are now a lot of stories about some mysterious wizard that pops up when extraplanar beings are encroaching on the mortal realm, and things get brutal real quick. But other than that, he does not involve himself in mortal affairs. If there is no third-party influence, then Abinthy keeps himself out of it, because he believes that as someone who is now immortal, he does not have a place to stand amidst mortal affairs. But he still does travel around and make little stories, and most of those are good. So it kind of turns over a new leaf. I assume that eventually he does kind of reconcile with his parents. His parents are really good people. And so while he has been afraid to speak to them, the main reaction of them is just pure joy from getting to see their son again, and know that he is alive and well. He does not tell them about the whole god headhunter gig that he has on the side.
What?
But he does take part in that.
Oh yeah.
And specifically, like, let's just say mortals aren't the only ones who have stories about a terrifying wizard.
Well, over the course of the next several years, you guys find yourself in a transition period, moving into what will be known as the Age of Truth. This new era
New
upon the
age.
material plane. Eventually, there is a treaty bartered between mortals and the gods that creates a veil, preventing direct divine intervention on the material plane. They can only intervene through their champions now. And there is a sort of culling of several of the gods. So instead of having 3 gods for every domain, they remove several of them, either by demoting them or by killing several of the evil ones. And so over the course of the next several decades, that's not an uncommon event, is the death of a god. It's kind of a very interesting and dramatic time period. But we'll leave some of those details to be figured out in the future. Cather, over the course of the next 5, 10, 15, 200, 300 years, what would you like to do with your life?
Yeah. Kind of as was already stated, during that first year, especially, he spends a lot of time with Edward and with Kiamura, and mostly tries to not directly intervene with the choices Edward chooses to make in guiding the people and the world into this new era of truth, understanding that truly that is a role for Edward to uphold, given to him as Lanatari's dying wish. However, understanding that Cather still has a part that he can play in this world, and that's just seeking to protect Edward and root out any final forces of Clovar that have remained in hiding and are still plotting to some amount against the material world, seeking some sort of cause of ruin or pain. Beyond that first year, continuing to go on adventures, small adventures with Kiamura and Melora, and even dragging Edward out of the house occasionally on the weekends. But being able to slowly over time kind of rebuild that kind of lost friendship that he had with Melora, regaining a lot of memories from before and gaining new ones of new fun escapades that they go on. Eventually making their way to a hidden village in the woods. Not just a few weeks travel north of Athala and the rest of that country, where Melora's family used to reside, visiting the place and remembering her lost family as they once promised to do many years ago now, and finding a hidden pasture, grove of sorts, with many odd statues seeming to honor different figures and beings, one of them being a somewhat crumpled statue of a elven woman with a squirrel resting on her shoulder, and a plaque that is barely readable that just simply says "The Fey Wanderer" on it. And not too long after this, Cather and Melora, for the most part, go their separate ways, still as good friends, and occasionally seeing each other again and catching up. But going their separate ways. After some more time has passed, he would eventually put together a small and elite task force capable of great deed to seek out and vanquish Valash Shataran, the Soul Stealer, within his soul citadel, seeking aid from the likes of Abinthy, possibly Edward, and possibly others, depending on who is willing and able to be there for such a task. Assuming that it eventually happens, Cather gladly accepts the role of best man in Kiamura and Volna's wedding. And it is absolutely gorgeous venue with a cliff overlooking the shore of the sea. And Cather gives just the best man speech one could even imagine. Tears are had, and weeping is made.
Drew's like, I do the best speech ever. Will I give you that speech? Absolutely not. I do definitely
Absolutely not. that is Patreon content right
Well, you
there.
can't prove him wrong.
Fair.
Also, kind of again, over the next immediate several years, making a lot of trips to Athala, would see Edward and Talanasha a lot with Abinthy, seeking to assist in those matters, but also seeking to work with Talanasha to broker some sort of peace with factions of the Drow who are ready to move beyond war, however small those factions may be. He also would work to rebuild Gambit's Keep, a bit mightier than his previous glory, expanding it to include all 6 of the original members, along with including the chambers for Abinthy, Kiamora, and Leshka, being honorary members, each of them.
I'm sorry, I did the paperwork.
And also adding 3 statues to the gardens, one of Vyzin, Blix, and Lotta, 3 close allies to the party, forever remembered, and brings back the fun secret chambers, but also adds in a few other fun little secrets. One of them, I will say, is within Malor's chamber is a small statue of Ginger, where if somebody goes in there and gives Ginger a nice pat, a modified version of Calm Emotions will be cast on the person to help lighten their day.
Nice.
Nice.
That's adorable.
It is adorable. You are correct. And that was Hannah's idea.
Nice. Is there anything else you'd like to do?
He's leaning over.
Yeah,
He's doing
have you
math.
gone
He's doing
through-
math.
Just so you know,
List
with the elite task force, there's definitely a really sick like the A team montage when he's like getting the gang
For
together, where like him and like Edward, because Edward gets roped into it somewhere. They're like, we have to
Always.
go meet an old friend. And Edward's like, oh, who? Is it so-and-so? Is it so-and-so? They like walk in and there's like explosions and Edward's like, what's going on? And he like turns to the door and there's this like jacked figure standing there. They're like, and Edward's like, who's that? And then the figure falls over backwards and Abinthy pulls his blade after him and he's like, so the time has come. And for some reason, Abinthy's just jacked. Like, just
You son of a-
brutally
I'm
muscled.
in.
And then we like high five and it's like, fine, one last ride.
Yeah. But yeah. So following all of that, just the years kind of go by. Cather continues to have times where he catches up with each of the members, meeting up with them and catching up over the years. Occasionally trying to get some of them together to get into a little bit of mischief and trouble. But for the most part, just kind of fading somewhat into the background. Still keeping a vigilant, hidden presence, always being there to help protect the world if it's needed, but also taking time to spend with his loved ones, spend with his family, spend with Atrosil, enjoy just being in his cabin from time to time, just kind of far away from the rest of the world, and eventually letting their tale move on to the next one, the next journey of heroes.
And every so often, when the moon is full and the rain is heavy, Cather walks outside and kneels next to his sword and he shouts into the rain as his cloak billows and lightning flashes.
I forgot to mention, Abinthy and Havel become like best friends. Like they join
Absolutely.
a racquetball
And
league
lovers.
together.
And lovers.
I mean, yes, absolutely. That like they joined a
They play
pickleball
pickleball.
league. Yep.
Yeah.
Why
I
did we
knew.
both think of pickle? We knew exactly what was going on.
I
Yeah.
love it. I love it. Finally, Edward. What do you do?
Edward for the next year, with his mote of creation that Lanantari blessed him with, will travel with Cather. He'll travel with Kiamora, and he will go all over Nicomuris, and he will use his mote of creation to rebuild places that have been destroyed, not only by Clovar's efforts, but also from other means of destruction, like war or famine or
Natural disaster.
sure, natural disasters. Just he will go around and kind of become a source of helping where help was needed. And then at the end of that year of traveling, he will, as a final stop, go to the Orcish lands, and he will use his mode of creation as a final act on the final day to destroy the walls around the Orcish people, because it was a wall that they didn't ask for, and it was a wall that kept peace of mind for the people around them. But Edward knew that for the orcs to truly be free, that wall needed to come down. So although some didn't agree with the decision, Edward did it. And the walls were no more. And the orcs could live where they'd like. Which might have consequences in the future, but it was the right thing to do. After that, Edward will return home to the estate. And he'll live there with Sam and his mother for a time. And eventually Abinthy and Talanashta will join them.
And Yorwick. I put in a door that just leads to Yorwick's mountain cottage.
Nice. And after Edward returns from his year of travel, he will sit down in his father's old office, Newgate's office, old office. Yeah, yes. Now Edward's office.
Now Edward's office.
Mm-hmm. And he will sit down and he will write a letter to Newgate Fellows, who is in prison. Where was he in prison again?
In Athala. You have every access to him.
He's just going to write a letter. And this is what it writes. To Newgate, my father, keeper of the memories of my old self. I understand you empathize with the perspectives of Prasius. As you well know, Prasius was an extension of Clovar, an ancient tyrant with the task of unseating the gods. You weren't alone. Many people have distaste for the gods. However, I feel pity for you. I was brave as a young man, but you didn't have that luxury. You bent to the ways of your father. You haven't seen and heard the beauty that's in the world as I have. I write to you to say that I understand you. You are what I could have been. I am what you never got the chance to be. I hope you find relief in knowing that the fellow's name is being carried well. Thank you for being my example of who not to be. Your firstborn and only son, Edward Nibley Fellows. He will live in Athala for quite some time while Sam runs Athala. I'm thinking maybe 30, 40 years, something like that. Throughout this time, Edward actually serves as a consultant of sorts for international affairs. When there's troubles happening in any part of the globe, he works in tandem with the Chosen to go and help mitigate situations. He also, every now and then, does suit up as the Pied Piper when it's seen to fit the circumstance, and he will give Abinthy 5 clicks so that they can run together in that way. After the time in Athala and serving as some sort of an international consultant, Edward gathers stories from around the globe, and he gathers songs, and he ends up moving to Vianola, is that what it's called?
Mhm.
The place where Nifendil was originally from, the place where the wood elves live in the forest. Edward gets a cottage there, smaller cottage, and he lives there with Sam, and he raises some children there, and his mother lives nearby, and he lives there for many, many years. More years than Edward actually expected to be alive. It seems the mote of creation extended his life beyond what he originally thought he would live. And so, many decades later, he finds himself alone in many ways, but not unhappy. Throughout the time when he was alone, and he dabbled in this while he was with Sam, he writes down the stories that he gathered from around the world, from around Nicomuris. And he tells the tales of Fate's Gambit. And every now and then, he even writes stories about Abinthy, with Abinthy's input, of course. And it's possible that Abinthy wasn't the name used in some of those stories.
Most of the time.
He also writes songs, and he spends time in nature, and he prays. And that's how Edward will live the last of his days.
Eventually, the rest of the party, you each in various ways receive some sort of notification. Sometimes it's a messenger, sometimes it's a letter. But those who are still around, Kiamora, Leshka, Cather, Renaya, probably not Havel, unfortunately, but Melora, and even divine deans. There are exceptions made to rules that allow for Malice and Grots, Natrasil. You all find yourself informed of the situation in this cabin. Edward's on his deathbed and wishes to see each of you one last time. And so we're going to pick up right there. This is some 160 years after the events of Clovar. You now find yourself in Vianola, if it's still even called that. Here in Edward's home. Edward, you find yourself an old half-elven man, surrounded by gods, fiends, and your friends. What would you guys like to do?
Edward, in appearance, is on the small bed filled with hay. He is wearing just normal, average wood elven clothes, nothing special. His belongings are modest, most of them made of wood. It's night. Edward wakes up. He was sleeping for a minute. Yeah, and sees all of you there. Oh, well. Hello, everybody. I'm grateful to see you all again. I had a feeling that this might be the end, and, well, since Cather's here, I suppose it's probably my time. What have you all been up to for this last century?
Oh, you know me. And Abinthy at this point in time actually looks younger than he did 160 years ago.
Of course he does.
Looking like a strong 27. And he says, well, you know me. I've been around here and there. I'm still teaching. But, you know, my office still stands, Edward. I have a body waiting one more run around the track.
No. I used to look younger than you, but I'm happy I don't now.
Oh, it's just all in the skin routine.
Vitamin E.
DM, I do have one question.
Okay.
I'm sorry if this feels like it takes it out of the moment, but it would be
That's okay,
relevant.
Drew.
It would be relevant if it is a thing.
What's the question?
Is it possible for Cather and Atrasil to have kids?
No, not really.
No? All right. I just want to make sure.
No demigods running around.
Yeah, you
No
know, hey.
little demigods.
But Cather will say, well, I've been doing all I can to honor all that you built over these years, Edward. You should
Good.
be proud.
I am. I'm happy. I live a quiet life. I always dreamed of living a quiet life, you know.
Well, you wouldn't shut up about it at first.
I know. And now I'm here, and well, I'm sad it has to come to an end. You know, I've traveled all over Nicomeris. I've written countless songs and stories of our travels and other tales I've gathered. And you've probably heard some of them. Abinthy actually helped write some of them, believe it or not.
I doubt.
Some of them are a little unsettling. And he winks at Abinthy. It feels as if I'm the only one left from those days. I've lived a longer and fuller life than I could have ever dreamed as a young man. Now here with all of you, well, I feel that I've learned and listened, and well, I know who I am. I finally do. I've co-labored with my destiny all these years. My work is done, and now the final string has been struck in the song that is my life. And you're all here to listen to it. Thank you. Before I go, I feel the time is near. Cather, would you please do the honor of reading me my names? Edward, seemingly weak, reaches over to his bedside table, just made of oak. Very simple. He pulls out the drawer, and out of it, he removes the nicest thing in this whole village, an ornate paper with expert craftsmanship and expert penmanship. And he reaches over and hands you, Cather, this parchment. And then he folds his hands and closes his eyes and listens.
He'll take the parchment, and before reading anything, he'll just kind of take a moment and place a hand on Edward's shoulder and just kind of quietly say, "Don't worry, friend. We will still see each other. This is still not the end. Just a new beginning." And he'll kind of stand and turn and more so face the rest of the people there. And he'll say, "Behold a man that stands before you. Here at the end of his life, at the end of his story, at the final end of his path through the winding world of fate. I present to you Edward Lulkul Kadar, Dragonflower. I present to you Edward Tagogishi, the Listening. I present to you Edward Jun Daut Stro, the final refuge. I present to you Edward Shun, reconciled. Edward O Sharum, at peace. May it be heard here for all to know. This is the great man for you. And he'll turn and just place his hands just on the clasp of Edward's hands as over his chest and kind of lean down and kiss him on the forehead and say one more time, "It's been a hell of a ride. I wouldn't change anything. Thank you for believing in me, friend. You are the best man I ever knew." Before standing back up and kind of taking a few steps away.
Seen as Edward breathes out his last breath and his chest ceases to rise, Abinthy will take a breath as well, and actually using a trick that he learned from Edward and adapted himself, he will speak, and his words may not be heard by anyone other than those in the room, but they will be felt by every living creature on the plane. And he says, "All creatures know this. On this day, a mortal among mortals, a man among gods, hath breathed his final breath. Weep in the knowing that the greatest among us is no longer here."
Thank you guys so much for watching. In case you don't know, if you're new, we know we got raided. Thank you guys so much for the raid. We are the Paper Dungeon. We started streaming about 3.5 years ago. The four of us have been playing Dungeons and Dragons since we were like freshmen in high school, for over 10 years for most of us. When we started this, we had 3 other cast members with us. That was another friend of ours, Ryan Garita, and 2 amazing women, Lydia Korn and Hannah Schooner, who were amazing. And we really, really enjoyed having them for the time that they were here. And we've just been playing for the last 3.5 years. And this was the end of that first campaign. We can't thank our followers, our subscribers, our patroneers, everybody. We can't thank you guys more than enough. You guys have been amazing with the support and the outreach, and the craziness that is our schedule and all this. We are so thankful to you guys for watching. We love you guys so much. We are excited. We're not going anywhere. We just got to take a little bit of a break, recharge our batteries, and then get things going again for the second campaign, which we're really excited about. Aaron,
We're going to come back swinging, guys.
It's gonna be
yeah.
good. Aaron's going to be DMing this upcoming campaign. Aaron's an amazing DM. Everything that he does is always fantastic.
Okay, well, let's not go that far. Not everything.
Let's not put the bar too high to start.
Yeah, let's start.
You guys might like it. You guys might like it.
I think you will.
It will be really, really good. We're really excited. It's going to be really good. Come back on Thursday, hopefully, for a Table Scraps episode. That way we can kind of go over all this. We might do another Table Scraps episode. I'd love to do something where all four of us get to talk and hang out. So we'll see about that. That might be some Patreon content or maybe Discord content. So just stay updated in the Discord. Make sure you're checking that. Make sure you got your notifications on for that so you know what's going on for us. But yeah, to my players, you guys have been amazing the last 3 years. I love you guys so much. I've loved being your DM. I love that you got to share the story with me. Thank you for sharing the story with me. I'm very, very happy and proud of this. And I love you guys. But
right back at you, man.
Yeah.
Thank you for being an amazing DM.
Yeah.
For real.
As DJ said, thank you to our viewers and our patrons and all of you who have stuck with us for long and short amount of time. Shout out to DJ because, this has been incredible. Like, this is the first long form campaign you've ever done, to my knowledge, in terms of DMing. And God knows that if I were to have started my DMing with the live stream like this, I think I just would have imploded. It's just gone splat. And you have stuck with it. You have put in so much work and effort, and this world is incredible. You and Ryan together. I remember sitting in Ryan's little room on a futon.
Yeah.
As you guys were like, "Ooh, what about this god? What's that?" And I would search up Latin terms for
Absolutely.
So seeing this world come to fruition, and then in the future going to be able to add to it, I am incredibly thankful for your effort, and you have done an incredible job. And I'm just going to try to not blow it in the future.
Well, you're telling me just about everything I know about DMing, so it can't be too much harder.
That's a scary thought.
If I could jump in here.
Absolutely.
For those of you who don't know, when this whole thing started almost 3.5 years ago, obviously we had a few more cast members, as DJ mentioned, but major props to, all of our players. At least I remember for me just how amazing and awesome it was to those first sessions, all of us together, challenging each other, helping each other grow and learn and kind of find a new joy and understanding of how to play this game. But also to, again, to our amazing DM. I remember I came to DJ with an idea of hey, how can I make a grave cleric but aggressive? And he was willing to work with me from day one to create what I got to play, being this Oath of Destiny paladin subclass, and also being willing to change up some of his lore to allow for something like that to exist at all, allowing the idea of these three gods of death to be working together to form this thread of fate. I'm just so super thankful and grateful for everybody who was involved in this process to get us here, and super excited to see where it goes.
I do also want to be very, very specific in thanking Hannah, Lydia, and Ryan for their contributions. They were amazing to work with. We loved our time that we got to have with them. We look forward to any time that we get to spend with them in the future, if at all possible. And so I really want to give them a shout out here at the end too, because they were absolutely amazing.
Absolutely.
And you guys are all curious. Definitely go back and watch some of those first 20 to 50 episodes when we still had them.
They're all so
Those-
talented.
Those
Yeah.
were so good, and they're all so talented. Absolutely.
Speaking of talent, outside of Dungeons and Dragons and the Paper Dungeon, a lot of us have other things that we do outside that we would love if you are willing to support us on. I know that Grant does some YouTube stuff and sometimes streams. Drew has. Are you fully up to date on your music stuff that you've got going on?
So Grant, that's something Grant and I are getting up and running during the time of the break, actually.
Yeah. So keep an eye out for that.
Yeah, keep an eye out for Origami Sound.
LLC.
Yeah, a music company for you and other creators.
Mm-hmm. I will also be hopefully getting up solo streaming during the time that we have off, and then Hannah is currently on another D&D podcast kind of deal. I wish that I had the name off the top of my head, but I forgot to look it up. And then Lydia still does commissions of art, as far as I know. So go check out and support them, and we are happy to have you around as much as you are willing to be, and it's been an absolute blast. Thank you for all of the people who put in art and memes into the Discord, and recipes and pictures of hikes. Handskate, as much as I dislike them. You have been an absolute blessing, and it's amazing that we've gotten this far, and we're excited to see where we go in the future.
And finally, I know we're trying to wrap up here.
All good.
I promise, guys, we're almost done. I just gotta thank the viewers and the listeners, not just because I should, but I think to all of us here, like, this campaign has been such a unique experience for all of us because we've kept it up through all of the crazy changes and twists and turns of all of our personal lives, and we're still here, still doing it. And our lives are just wildly different than they were when we started, all of us. And so for us, I think it's special in that way, where we're still here today through all of that, and we can look back. And so to all of you watching and viewing that have been around all this time, even if you're listening in the future, I hope that we have served as a similar constant to you. And it's a pleasure and an honor to be a source of your entertainment. So thank you.
All right. I think with all that being said, the only thing left to say is good luck and Godspeed, Dungeoneers. We will see you next time. Have a great rest of your night. We love you.
Vacation!